This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Very Hard to Submit. Go to vhtsny.com and check out their kimonos, compression gear, and apparel. This is a brand we are excited to be supported by. Their gear is high quality with a clean design. Go to vhtsny.com and see for yourself.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Grappler Union podcast. Javier Palomo alongside Anthony Zito. Our guests today are a pair of black belts from the ROL Academy. We have Thomas Rozdzynski, who is the owner and head instructor of ROL and is a second-degree black belt, and JT Troglia, who's an instructor and a first-degree black belt. Enjoy.
8 to 6 minutes. That's what happens in that 6 minutes.
You told me, using any technique that works, never to limit myself to one style. Keep an open mind.
We're not here to take part, we're here to take over.
In order to become more peaceful, in order for you to become better and strategize your life.
All right, we're live. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, on this terrible day, winter has returned to the shy.
For one day.
For one day. It'll all melt tomorrow. Yeah, it's really just an excuse for excessive quantities of mud.
Yeah.
Man.
All the trucks out salting, everyone getting overtime. I don't know why. I'm like, just leave it.
It'll be gone tomorrow.
I actually saw someone shoveling. I'm like, what? Did you not read like the weather? Like, what are you doing? Why are you out there shoveling?
Because they must.
They must.
Yeah. Maybe they have a small car with bad traction. Maybe they're not going to get out of their drive. Oh, well, never mind. I don't know that.
It's so ridiculous. Put your shovel down.
Man,
Easy.
I mean, we say that, but so I teach class Sunday morning, and the snow was just kind of starting when I left for class. Started getting heavier, and I'm looking out the window. I'm like, man, it's really coming down out there. And on my way home, I saw 4 traffic accidents where people would just skid right off the road. So apparently that salt was very needed because people still don't know how to drive in this stuff.
Yeah. I was driving the other day on the expressway.
You don't count. You have the urban assault vehicle.
I do. But I don't drive very fast. I drive, 60, 70 miles an hour. And what makes me so mad is when minivans are flying by me. I'm just like, you're in a fucking minivan. Where are you going that you need to drive so? Minivans should have a limiter. What do they call that? A governor?
I think it is called that, yes.
A governor. If you own a minivan, that's it. It tops out 60. You can't go any faster in a minivan.
Wait, why is this the rule?
I don't know, because I think minivan
because you're insulted that a minivan passed you in your urban assault vehicle?
I'm insulted that they possibly have kids in that car and they're driving 80 miles an hour. It just seems kind of like
I could have
ridiculous.
kids in a Lotus. I mean, like that. Not many of them, mind you. I mean, I'm Mexican. I'm not that Mexican.
But I just feel like if you have a minivan, 60, that's it, man.
Those are the rules that you've just made up now?
Yeah, you're not going. You shouldn't go any faster than that. That's it. Or don't buy a minivan.
I feel like a lot of soccer moms are getting very upset at you right now. Some electricians.
Maybe.
They're like, hey, that's how I get to work.
Hey,
I like to sleep in like everyone else in my minivan.
I'm kind of glad we got this out of the way. Now we can begin.
Yeah, we can begin now.
This was not the strangest start, but definitely amongst the stranger start. But it's been kind of a strange weekend in jiu-jitsu and MMA anyhow. Perhaps not too strange locally. I mean, we just had Grappling Industries that went normal, right? Like nobody heard any crazy controversy or anything there.
What'd you hear? I mean, the UFC was fucking amazing. I mean, I just watched the main card.
Right. So I mean, that was the fight between Stylebender and Kelvin Gastelum. My lord, that 5th round was crazy. Did you guys see this? Or
I'm Googling.
You're Googling now as we speak. Yeah.
Tom, did you see it?
I did not.
Oh, man.
I did not.
Do you want me to share my Google with you when I pull it up? I'll just share it with you.
It was, it's just, when you see that fight, and I know you didn't see it, but when you watch it back, if you have the chance, it's just craziness. I just can't believe those two guys went that hard with each other and be able to take those punches and 5 rounds.
Like Kelvin Gastelum has either the greatest chin in that weight class or extreme brain damage as a result of that fight. One or the other, no middle ground.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah,
They both hit. I mean,
So-
Kelvin hit him too. He fucking.
Yeah, no, they cracked. But
Yeah.
okay, let's
That head
set,
kick was
let's set the
brutal.
stage here though. So going into the fifth, I've got each guy
2-2.
2-2.
For
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely 2-2. Gaslam's kind of gassing, like he's looking pretty.
I think they just
the
look-
punches are slowing down, and
Yeah.
it's been a rough 4 rounds
Yeah.
back and forth. Stylebender kind of turns it on, and the whole round from start to finish is just like one single crazy scramble. Like there's a couple of pauses
I
in
mean,
there,
it's,
but
it's almost like it's like a choreographed movie scene, right? Right, like a fight scene, like old school Rocky. You'd be like, okay, you know what I mean? You got Rocky, and the guy takes his back, gets him in a triangle. Like, how the fuck's he throwing up a triangle? And then he gets out of the triangle,
gets back in a triangle. There were 2 triangles.
I was super impressed. I mean, well-deserved bonuses for sure.
I hope so.
Yeah, they did get the 50.
Well, I didn't see that
They both,
yet.
and then Poirier and
Holloway.
was another good fight. Not as good as the Stylebender, but fucking Holloway can take a punch.
That he can.
Oof. And I don't know if that's a good thing.
No, probably not. Like
When someone says you
I
can
would
take
like
a
him
punch,
I would like him to take less punches. I'm comfortable knowing he can, but I would like him to take way less.
yeah, that he got.
Cracked.
Yeah, he got cracked.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I knew it would be an interesting. Well, I thought it would be an interesting fight.
Mm-hmm.
Poirier has been on a good streak.
Very good. I like Poirier.
I do
him a
too.
lot.
But I mean, I thought Holloway was going to take that. Honestly,
Now I don't want to see Holloway at 55 at all.
right? You think he's done
And
there?
fuck yeah. I mean, he could not match the power of Poirier at all. But he's also Nick Diaz is also a fighter who throws a lot. You know, he's not there to knock you out with one shot.
Right, high volume.
You know, high volume. But Nick Diaz is a lot bigger, you know, than Holloway. So
What do you guys think is more effective? Is the overwhelming long distance kind of approach or more strategic?
I like the long because my jiu-jitsu is like this. Maybe I'm more. I like the long distance approach.
He's waiting for some guy who just like gets in there, pulls guard, taps the guy out. You know, maybe gets a sweep or 2.
I'm not the guy who's going and throwing up flying triangles. You know, I'm in there, you know, a little more methodical. I'm going to pull. I'm going to check out the scene. I'm going to go, you know, work my game, you know, my forward progression. You know, I'm not looking for this throwing up arm. You know, I'm not throwing stuff up real quick. That's just me. So when I look at a guy like Holloway and Nick Diaz, who they just use their great cardio and they just wear that guy down, man, I think that's fantastic. As opposed to that one puncher. That one puncher, he's got a lot of problems. One is once he punches himself out, he's totally helpless.
Yeah.
So
not everyone who's got a lot like I actually never mind. I was gonna say not everyone who's got knockout power, you know, has bad cardio, but a lot of the guys that immediately jump to mind that have knockout power actually do have pretty bad cardio.
I mean, it just seems like one.
I'm sure there's someone I'm not thinking of, but
they're just there's a give and take to everything, right? The yin and
Yes,
yang.
but-
So I think that, you know, for me, I like the Holloway style as opposed to that guy who just throwing leather like, you know.
well, I think like
Is that like the long, like slow, like
Yeah.
cardio athlete as opposed to something like a fast twitch type athlete?
Yeah.
Oftentimes,
yeah.
yeah.
So like, you know, let's just say Conor McGregor. Let's use him. Like he's got that one punch that if he lands it, fantastic.
That left.
Right? That left. Everyone keeps talking about that left. But when he can't land it, he's not really that effective. You know.
right.
So, whereas Holloway, he's got a lot of tools. He's got his jiu-jitsu. So if that guy can't land that punch, he can take that guy down and submit him. He's got a lot. Whereas Conor McGregor is not taking anyone down and submitting him because he can't land that punch. He's got to keep trying to land that fucking punch the whole time.
Right.
He doesn't have a
Well,
lot of tools
I mean,
in his arsenal.
At the end of the day, you got
Nick Diaz the same way. Nick
3
Diaz
ways
is
to win an
huge
MMA
black
fight,
belt.
basically. Okay, you're gonna inflict sufficient injury that the opponent can't continue, either because you've knocked him out or you've outright injured him. Okay, you're gonna submit him in some way, shape, or form, or you're gonna win on the scorecards. Okay, and it's pretty hard to win on the scorecards with a low volume sort of knockout strategy. Like you have to actually knock him out if you're only throwing 10 punches in 5 minutes. but it's very easy to see that, like, oh, that guy's doing more work. He's clearly dominating. You know, when he's, you know, throwing combinations and putting kicks and punches together and whatnot. So yeah, I think guys that put that together more are far more likely to win on the scorecards, just because they're putting out that volume of work.
Do you guys think the entertainment aspect has a lot to do with that? Because, like, if you look back at UFC 10 years ago, I think it wasn't as strategic as it is today.
No,
it wasn't as athletic, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely wasn't as athletic.
But I think there's a lot of thought put behind all these fights. I mean, they have a plan. Not only you can review tapes of your opponents, but also develop a strategy and so on. There's a whole system behind all of this, behind each fight. Do you think that the entertainment part has a lot to do with this versus just winning the fight itself?
I'm sure it definitely plays a role. But, I mean, I think these fighters nowadays are just getting better because they have more tools to get better with. You know, they've got so much more training, so much more information that, was it the Sports Institute that the UFC has? I heard it's like...
Performance Institute.
Performance Institute, yeah. It's fucking incredible what they have.
Not
to
that
work
everyone
with.
goes there, though.
No,
I mean,
but they can. Of their roster of 500 guys, they can all train there and eat there and do all that stuff.
Do a lot of
it's just incredible. So the athletes get elevated by just the tools that are at their disposal. And
well,
the
yeah,
trainers.
but I mean that's kind of the same way jiu-jitsu is now too. You know, like
I was about to mention that.
The kind of stuff guys knew 20 years ago as black belts were like, oh wow, this is the new top secret move, and then you know, all these years later, it's like, yeah, no, every white belt knows that. You know,
we just had this conversation recently, like when we were starting in 2000 or whatever. 25 decades ago was
approximately forever ago.
Don't rely on his math; it's always off by a lot.
Slight of
exaggeration.
but like we had a couple books and that's it. VHS. There was a couple tapes and those were inaccessible. Like you didn't have those.
Yeah, no.
And today is it right there on your phone. Boom, pull it up. YouTube. What do you want?
Right.
Which one? By whom? You know, and it's so much more accessible, and it's. I think I don't necessarily think it's easier because the amount of information that you have, you are OD'd on the information.
It's actually overwhelming.
And what tends to happen, and me now playing a little bit of an instructor role, I see people coming in who have watched YouTube, and they're like, well, can't I do this? And I'm like, okay, you can think about all these crazy movements you watch on YouTube, but your foundation is shit. Like you can't even hold someone in side control right now. You can't. They can't do any of that stuff because they just want to do. Oh, show me that quick thing that da 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 da. I'm like, it doesn't really work that way. You have, and no one's on YouTube saying, here's how you smash somebody. Like that's just not
people
happening.
are definitely on YouTube too. Like people aren't maybe looking for that because that's not the exciting thing to look for.
Right.
But that information is definitely out there. If you look in the right places, know the right people.
I think what's dangerous behind this entire system is the fact that there is no focus behind what you're looking for, and is that the right column on YouTube is like the vortex of never-ending things.
Right,
so, you know, you start with front choke from top control, and you ending up in the reverse triangle from De La Riva after Berimbolo, and had nothing to do with what you started. And 10 minutes later, you completely sidetracked.
Are you looking at my YouTube history, sir?
You know, and I think if you look for right things with the right intent, you can find them. And there's a lot of useful things out there.
Right.
Yeah,
but it's just disorganized. It's just millions of videos.
See, now,
you know,
I'll be a slight voice of dissension here because, one, I feel that there's a significant difference between how, like, Joe Average white belt looks at YouTube and he's just like, oh my God, a million things and I want to try them all and I don't know anything, versus somebody who's more seasoned, both in terms of, you know, they have their basics down, they know what they're good at, they know what their game is. And it's like there's a world of difference between someone who's like, like lapel guard looks interesting, I'm going to look up some Keenan videos on the worm guard, you know, and somebody who's just like, everything's cool, I want to do it all, and I'm just going down the rabbit hole right now.
I think you're describing two different people, though.
Right, that's what I'm saying. You know? So, like, I often associate that personally, as I just did now, with somebody's like level of experience in terms of grappling. Like in my mind, your average purple belt is probably able to more focus down to what he needs to work on than what like the cool move of the day is per se. And then, but that isn't actually always the case, because a lot of that just comes down to like how proficient and maybe even disciplined you are with how you use the internet. And I've for sure got students that are, many of them quite a bit younger than me. They're actually quite good at like being like, okay, like coach showed this technique, I want to look at related topics and don't necessarily go too far down that rabbit hole.
No, and we have few of those too,
Yeah.
with a specific target, and they have an idea
Laser focus, right?
what they are looking for,
Yeah.
and just the ability to ignore all the noise,
Yeah.
you know, and focus.
Do you
on
have
that.
because you've been teaching a while now? Do you have students that come up to you and say, you know, how do you? It's kind of weird, but how do you formulate a game plan for yourself? Like, how do you like? When I talk to people, I said, well, this is my jujitsu. This is my game. This is how I developed my game just doing jujitsu, and this is kind of what I do. But it's not for everybody. Like the way I usually use my hooks and the way I do my sweeps, I'll show it in class and I'll explain how I got there. But then some people are like, well, I just don't get it. I'm like, well, that's what I do. I can't explain to you how I got to this point, but I'm just here and this is what I do and this is the path I take. And sometimes it's hard for me to articulate to them. You kind of have to find your own path. And some people don't really understand what I'm talking about when I say that, because maybe they're still new in white belts.
I think that's the difficult part about jiu-jitsu in general, that it is a long journey. And it's not in the aspect of it'll take you decade to really get good, but it takes a long time to understand and comprehend what is going on, at least in my view. And if you look at it, if I look at it in retrospect, like when we were starting, you know, a while back, we didn't have all these accessible tools, instant providing information and videos and pictures and all that. We had to go through self-discovery process.
That was
And I
trial
think
by error. That's for
trial
sure.
by error, exactly. And I think that is what the development is. Today, world is very different. It's, I started yesterday. Let me Google everything. Let me YouTube everything. And now I have 100 videos in front of me of the same thing with different variations by different instructors. Now I'm going to start questioning, which one should I do? Which one is my style? Do I have a style? Should I have a style? Maybe, should I even continue doing this? This is confusing. Right. And I think it's very different than what we've done, you know, in the past. The journey is very different, you know. So I think the tools have changed over time substantially and significantly, you know. Changes the experience for the student too. And now us as instructors, we have to understand that. And then we have to have a deeper understanding of the fact that YouTube is accessible. Right. You know, we can't ignore that fact, at least in my opinion. You know,
I mean,
if
I utilize it as a tool personally. Yeah, like I will straight up.
Everybody, I think everybody does. I don't know anybody that doesn't.
No, but I like tell a student, like, listen, I'm going to show you this, but I know Hodger Gracie has way better collar chokes than me. Let me shoot you a video of an like here's a YouTube link of an example of Hodger doing, you know, a collar choke on Bushesha. You know, here's an example of him teaching it. You know, here's some great details. I have no shame about something like that. That guy's way better at collar chokes than I'm probably ever going to be. You know, he's a legend. But if I'm just like, you know what, just go Google that on your own. I have no idea what they're going to get, and I don't know. Like, I can't guide them. You know what I'm saying? So I can at least use that as sort of like, here's where I'd start if I was you, you know, and they can hopefully, I don't know, hopefully go down the correct rabbit hole.
But getting back to like, how do I
systematize things?
Well, not that, but like, how do you answer that question to a kid who says, you know, how do I develop my own game? How does that come up? Is that just, you know, training jujitsu? Because there's some students. I'm not naming names or anything, but there's some guys that I train with. I'm just that I'm just looking at them like, man, I'm just wondering where they're trying to, like, they're at that, you know, level where they're blue and they need to start upping it. You know, they need to something needs to happen for them to kind of bump themselves up to purple, right? So where does that where does that come in at? Like, how do you explain finding that game and
But it's okay. So here's the thing.
that style? I don't know.
I do.
Yeah.
I'm going to cut in here because
Yeah, definitely do.
I had an instructor. Well, I won't name, but I love him, and he's an excellent tactician. And for the longest time, he was like, "Listen," in his Brazilian accent, "this body." and let me preface this by saying, like, I wanted to be the open guard guy. Dude,
Okay.
seriously, I wanted to be spider guard.
Hey, that's cool as hell.
I wanted people soaring through the air and like fucking flying triangles and all that cool shit. Where I wanted to be that YouTube guy.
Right.
Swear to God. And he's like, "Listen, buddy, dude."
He didn't make it, by the way.
I didn't. No, absolutely not. Look at you. You're short. You're not flexible. You got bad knees. You're not athletic. Maybe you try half guard. And it was kind of
Was
like,
he right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
There you go. That's the key.
And you know what? I had a conversation with one of our students, and I kind of told him the same thing. Like, "Hey, listen, dude.
You ain't that guy.
Yeah, you ain't gonna be Keenan Cornelius or something. You're not. So go with what works for you. And I'm telling you, this is what'll work for you." Right. So
you actually guide people and like, okay, this should try this in your game.
I did exactly.
Yeah.
I did exactly what he said. Like, "Hey, look up these guys." Like, I'm a half guard guy, so like, "Hey, look up the
But that's what you do,
Jake
right?
McKenzie." Yeah,
Yeah,
like flat out, like, "Hey, these are the guys I watch. You should watch these guys because they're terrific, and you can learn a ton."
Yeah, study what they do.
Yeah, I think it's
Adapt it to
And
your
make
game.
it work for you.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's a two-part process, right? I mean, the student has a responsibility to learn and adapt and kind of go through the exploration, right? But
Right.
then coach or instructor, whoever is the guide, the person guiding that person has a responsibility of identifying some of those triggers and maybe guiding them in. Hey, maybe this is not a good thing for you, right? Maybe,
He just says it a lot nicer than me.
Yeah, you're like, "Listen, man, you
I'm
suck
just a
at
nicer
this."
guy.
Hey, man, it just ain't gonna happen. So just fucking deal with it, man.
I mean, even in my own journey that I go through, I know what now I feel really comfortable when someone showing me something. I'm looking at it. I'll rep it. I'm going to say, this is probably not going to be for me. I'll rep the technique, because.
But you're not feeling it.
But it's probably not going to be in my game. I've got 10 to 15 things in my game. I don't need any more than that. But there's certain things that just aren't adaptable to my body, and I just like, I just don't feel comfortable doing that, and so I'll rep it. But then I'll just discard it, and maybe I'll come back to
It's
it years
good to
from now.
know to have like
Of
a
course.
base.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you try everything.
Yeah,
right.
of course.
Like, so.
Well,
and
especially- I mean-
except spider guard. If you're 5'7",
except
185 pounds,
Spider
and
Guard.
not flexible,
But even then,
yeah,
guys, I
forget it.
still think I completely hear what you guys saying. Like, this is my style. This is not my style. I want to have these 10 things and I want to perfect them. But I think understanding globally every position in
yeah,
general aspect,
Yeah.
it's so important
For sure.
right? Because how can you defend De La Riva guard if you don't understand De La Riva guard?
I agree.
How
Well,
can you defend Spider guard?
It's pretty
if
easy.
you-
I just get swept and then submitted.
You and I define the word defend differently, sir. I just want you to know that.
I'm telling you, it works perfect for me. I get out of it every time. Hey, I'm done. Fuck out of here. See ya.
But no.
But yeah, that makes sense. Of
I
course.
agree with you. So here's the thing: as a coach, I mean, as a jiu-jitsu practitioner, I'm definitely one of those guys that enjoys having a large body of knowledge, seeing a lot of techniques. There's a ton of stuff that I've gone out of my way to figure out that 100% is not actually my game. Okay, so I've got like pretty decent details on how to triangle choke somebody. I ain't triangle choking anyone. I'm not built for it. Okay, it takes a lot of effort for me to actually triangle choke somebody that isn't like a 12-year-old, and they have to be a small 12-year-old too. Okay,
But if somebody puts you in a triangle,
then I've learned how better to defend it.
Exactly.
And as another key detail, since I do spend a lot of my time coaching, I have to be able to coach athletes that are able to triangle, how to do it to the best of their ability. So from a coaching perspective, I want to know a lot of stuff. From my own personal fascination with grappling, I want to know a lot of stuff. As a competitor, even though I have a ridiculous game, as a competitor, I do have to refine things out to focus as much as I can on the things that work best for me. Okay? But when I'm teaching, I'm not teaching all the time as a competitor. Okay? So I oftentimes find myself teaching things that are not my A game, but which are important to my students. And that covers a wide range of topics.
Yeah.
But now we're talking about two different things.
Right, but
I mean, competition is focused on winning.
But
class is more focused on
that's what my
studying and
style
understanding,
is, per se, I would say. Like, my style of grappling is based largely around the way I'm going to compete. My knowledge base is a much wider thing than my style. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't try to necessarily make guys mirror images of me. There's very few guys that are going to grapple exactly like me, and if they do, they probably are of similar build and similar disposition. Okay, the vast majority of my students don't match up like me at all. Okay, and even Zito and I, who are of fairly similar stature, have entirely different approaches in terms of demeanor. He's a more passive and patient player than I am. So if I were to just be like, no, Zito, do it like this, he's probably like, ugh, this isn't how I want to grapple.
I'm stealing that. Passive and patient.
Yeah.
I call it lazy, but you know what I mean, bro? I'm good.
I normally would
I'm good. I'm like fat, lazy, and short, so I'll just lay there.
You have a patient and disciplined approach,
I
sir.
like it. I'm going to go with it.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm learning.
Looks way better on a business card than lazy jiu-jitsu practitioner. I'll tell you what.
When you teach and you're like, hey, so this is how I do it, and I do it because I'm lazy.
Right.
There's like a third of the class, and they're like, oh, yeah.
Exactly. You know? Hey, I had a wrestling coach that would say that all the time, and I totally stole that from him. I'm like, listen, guys, this is the laziest way to do it, and I do it because it's effective and low energy. And I'm like, yes, I need that right now. So, can relate. Yeah. Not everything's flying triangles and dynamic leg locks and things like that.
That all goes stuff, I'm good.
Yeah. But, getting back to it, though. So, like, I'm not always teaching things that are just my style.
That makes sense. Yeah.
In terms of, like, how do you formulate your style, like, I feel like you can hand a student a system, okay, and they're going to try to gravitate to what part of that system speaks to them. Like, like these three components work together well for me. I'm going to focus on those even though you showed 20 things, okay? So that's an important thing, and I really try to, like, as much as I can, within the limits of what I'm allowed to teach, I really try to focus in on what my students need based on how I perceive the way they grapple. And obviously that requires,
Well, you grapple with all of your students, right?
Pretty much, yeah. Like there's a couple of guys at various gyms that don't like to roll very much, or that I don't get a chance to grapple with very often. But yeah, I always get a chance to.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have that luxury to roll with every beginner. I just
Zito spread too thin.
No, it's just some of them only stay for the beginners class, and for the beginners class we do 3-minute rounds, and then if they want to stay,
there's
for
only
the
a couple of rounds.
That's it, 2 rounds.
I get that.
If that, because it's a beginners class, we want them to stay for Mineko, for the advanced class. Right. So Mineko's not.
So the Mineko can slaughter them instead.
Well, yeah, of course. Yes.
Yeah, that's what everyone's paying for.
A lot of people only come to the 6 o'clock beginners class, and they never show up for the 7. And I'm just like, you guys gotta come to the 7. I don't know why they don't, because they're only doing 3-minute rounds. They're not really. How much are you going to develop at a 3-minute round with a bunch of white belts, or blue belts,
I mean, you got to be the best of the worst.
Yes, but
it's a bit of an ego thing too. You don't want to get smashed.
I mean, I love getting smashed.
I'm getting smashed in my 3-minute. Well, but
Yeah.
You got to. I think that's an acquired trait.
It definitely is. Yeah. Very few people come to this and are like, "Oh, this is terrible. I love it."
Yeah.
And that's an interesting topic for me personally. So, do you guys think that people like to get smashed these days?
Most people, no,
because
definitely not.
I know when we going back, like all of us, I mean, I love training hard. We from the beginning, there was we didn't have. I mean, but Carson Gracie Sr. was just smashing every day. It was like
You keep bringing up McGreen, and I mean, I think
McGreen same thing.
Dude, he laid it on us.
Yeah,
and just because you were a wipeout, that didn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the smash. Of course, back in the 90s, I did not at all.
I was talking to him at a competition too, and he's like, we were talking about how we would get beat up, and he's like, I was a nice one for the Brazilians. And I thought about it, and I was like,
you really were?
Yeah, it kind of was. He had a point there. McGreen. Carson always called him McGreen. I was like, yeah, I guess you were.
Yeah, man, his smash it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah.
It's just like once you think it's done, then
He's
you laser
just
it on
starting.
There's another level.
It's
to
another
it.
layer.
You're like, oh, okay, I can handle this, and I'm like, oh wait, there's more. Oh no, I don't want. It's just like I just gotta move a little bit to get out of this.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, I like good hard rolls. I don't need to, like, it doesn't need to be like ADCC finals every round or anything. But like, I like knowing that I've worked. When I'm working with somebody who's, you know, not on my level, I'm either gonna go and, you know, like play around a bit and try new things and experiment and whatnot, or I'm gonna oftentimes give up bad positions so that they can work, so that I can work my defense on somebody who's not going to kill me instantly. You know, maybe I don't want to give up my back to like Luis. You know, like that's probably death right there. Right. You know, but I'll give my back up to like a blue belt who's, you know, just starting to experiment around with rear naked chokes and lapels and things like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes that doesn't go my way either, but you know, that's the game we play. So yeah, I mean, I personally, I was just talking about this with somebody. Especially for my comp prep, and I know a lot of guys that disagree with me personally on this, like some of them are even my coaches. I need a certain split percentage of guys that I'm going to go super hard on that I know that I can smash them, because that perfects my timing and my cardio, and it ups my confidence. Okay. Which is a terrible thing to say, but it's true. Like when you're winning every round right before a tournament, you know, that's a good feeling.
Of course.
But then I also need guys that are just gonna like freaking push me to the breaking point, and it's gonna be just nose to the grind the whole time, and like if they break me, like that's what they had to do. You know, not break my limbs. I just mean like mentally break me. And those are great rounds too. And I need a certain percentage of that. And I feel like I need more of the I'm not the best in the room, because that inspires me to get better than I'm smashing all the fools.
Right.
So, like, I don't know what the exact ratio is there. I don't have like an exact number on it. But I feel like I need to be, as an athlete, I feel best when I'm getting beat up before a tournament. Not like to point of injury or anything, but just like guys are laying it on me heavy. They're trying to push me to drive through. Maybe because I'm driven more by that adversity than some people who are driven by like, yeah, I'm winning. I'm the best in the world type confidence. Yeah. I don't imagine Conor McGregor, for example, is going in getting the hardest rounds of his life.
I think you know after having some time off with just injuries in the past few months and stuff, I feel that taking like a week, 2-week break maybe is fucking great.
This sounds terrible, and I hate the entire idea. Yeah.
So I mean, me personally, when I come back after that, I'm so hungry and just so wanting to, and I feel like my jiu-jitsu just it's even more technical after taking that time off and just thinking, not being able to roll, and just my thoughts are, because I'm just playing scenarios in my head and this and that and that, and watching clips, and I'm not rolling, I'm not doing anything. And I just come back, I'm just like, it's just, everything is clicking. I just feel so good when I come back. So next time I compete, I plan on just, as long as my weight's normally always on point, but, where I don't have to like sweat or work out to get to that weight, I think I'm just going to take a good week and a half off and just prepare mentally, and then just go there and compete and see how I do, as opposed to like training to second day to the tournament. Like, okay, last round is Thursday before the tournament on Saturday. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
You know what you're ignoring too is we're on the wrong end of 40, right? So
speak for yourself, sir.
Well, all right, I'm on the wrong end of 40. So are you? Yeah. And coming off of injuries, right? So you need to start paying attention to recovery.
Yeah.
After this last one, right? So I just had knee surgery. Yeah. So
what happened after
that?
Is there a good story?
See my man sitting right there?
Yeah.
He's the good story?
Dude.
It's a nervous laugh there.
Dude, yeah, he knows. He knows. Yeah.
What happened?
I like to play deep half guard. Okay. I don't know exactly what happened, but I was in my deep half guard, and at one point I felt like my knee dislocated, and I hopped up, and that was about it, right? Tore both my meniscus and a hamstring tendon.
What? You were just sitting in deep half and this happened?
No, I mean, obviously I wasn't sitting in deep half.
He's still working on deep half.
Yeah, so remember that. Let's go back to that instructor. Back in the day, you're short, you're not athletic, right? Yeah. Well, that's what started me down that road, and I can't get off it. But yeah, no, that was it. But So having that time off and being there, like you definitely like you need to focus on recovery, right? You know, like it's such a big thing the older you get too. Like you're not going to be 25 and able to roll twice a day or 3 times a day. And all right, maybe you can, dude. Check him out.
I don't know how he
like,
does it.
hey, you're the best.
I'm not.
wish.
He's an anomaly. I don't know how.
I'm really starting to think that there's something wrong with me. Like
there is. I think there is.
I talk to guys much younger than me that are like, "How do you do it?" And I'm like, I don't know. I just do. And
I can't believe how much I cannot even believe it. I couldn't never keep up with it. I would be, yeah. I'm just not built that way. It's great. It's fantastic. You could do that, but yeah, you definitely need recovery, and that's why I'm feeling now. I'm like, fuck, I do need that recovery, and especially for a tournament. So take some time off.
Just be clear, because I probably just said like something that sounded like totally meathead to everyone. There is, once an athlete peaks, you do have to tone it down before competition.
Yeah, taper.
Like you got to taper that off. Exactly. So like I'm not like, it's not like, okay, the tournament's Saturday, it's Friday, last round in the Shark Tank. Not that. Okay, but leading up to it, before that, like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday before a Saturday tournament, those are easy days. Sometimes depending on how I'm feeling, it might be even further out than that, where I'm still going to be at the gym, I'm still going to be repping technique, I'm still going to make myself useful to the teams. But yeah, like at that point, the work is done. It is time to relax before the tournament, which is why I actually really enjoy traveling for a tournament personally, because it forces me to take a little bit of time off the mat.
Yeah. That's true. How do you feel, Thomas?
I feel great.
It's like I have no tournament that I'm preparing for, and
no, I think you guys are onto something. I mean, as things evolve and as the sport is getting smarter, with the amount of information, we just have more intelligence behind it. It's not like, again, I remember beginning UFC when Stephan Bonner was getting ready when we were there. It was like getting pounded every single day. Yeah. Same
the whole
thing.
Class would just be about his training for the UFC.
Right, absolutely.
Right.
And it was great. I mean, like looking back, it was awesome. But we got beat up.
Yeah. Well, so did he too, though.
And so did he, absolutely. But it was very different training mentality than it is today. Yeah. Same thing with jiu-jitsu. Like I remember when we were, getting ready for competitions, it was training nonstop, getting beat up constantly, hard training for hours every single day. Right. Today is a little bit different. I think we understand our bodies a little bit better. We have, systems and processes to recover before and after competition and so on. And it's
true.
All that is not necessarily making us better, but it's prolonging the ability to compete and just sustain more. Like we've both, JT and myself, we've gone through a number of knee surgeries. Like I had fair share, stories upon stories, and it all that has had an effect on me. Like I'm not the same as I used to be. So.
I think the jiu-jitsu athlete is probably just because of how the sport is and how I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this.
Just throw it out there.
Most of them overtrain, and nobody has an off season.
No one has an off season, right? So majority, and we do this because we know when we take, let's just say, we have an injury, we take a month off. That guy you were sparring with a month ago is going to be so much better when he comes back than you are, because he's continuing getting that mat time. Everyone talks about that mat time, those hours you put in. The more hours you put in, the better you're going to get, the sharper your technique, all this stuff, right? So we're all in that kind of like rat race, right? We're all like, we got to put the hours in. We got to put the hours in. I need my 10,000 reps. I need my 10,000 reps. So when that guy's getting his reps and you're sitting at home, you're not getting your reps in, you feel left behind. But the reality is you're probably just a majority of them are overtrained. And a lot of people are overtrained. And there's no one there to like say you're overtrained. Everyone's like, get to the gym, come to the gym, make sure you come to class. We'll see you tomorrow. All that's just ingrained in our, what everyone talks about.
And I think you bring up a really good point. We've been talking about this for a long time now, JT and I myself, and even Mitch, and just our instructors are ROL. And it's not the intensity of the training that matters, but that drilling.
Right.
It's not how hard you train, but how smart you train. Just because you roll, 10-minute rounds It doesn't mean that you're getting better. Well, of course, yeah, it does. It has its purpose.
Right.
Right? But if you do the same motion, repeat it 100, 200, 300 times, now it develops that muscle memory. You have the habit.
Yes.
Which you don't have to process. You don't have to analyze. You just execute. And the efficiency will take you by far further than the smashing motion. We still love smashing.
Right.
Don't take me wrong there, but it just takes it to a different level. And the beating on your body is completely different. I mean, it's just the recovery.
I think
different.
we're ignoring a really big part too. Like you talk about overtraining and stuff, and I think a lot of it is like, how many people are miserable motherfuckers when they're not training? Dude,
There is that.
I am.
I'm one of them,
dude. So I'm there.
Sure.
I had knee surgery 2 weeks after that. I was in the gym trying to roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
My
I had to
mom
kick
over
him
here
out.
was yelling at
And
me.
then that's very true. I
You
mean,
know,
when I
like,
can't train, I fucking
you're
hate it.
miserable.
I fucking hate it.
Right?
It drives me. But so
And
how
it's
do you
even-
find that happy medium? Where
Dude, it's
like,
even worse when you go to the gym and you can't train. So like you go to the gym and you watch everybody train. You're like, mother, man, goddamn.
I have found my way around that, sort of. Like I still, don't get me wrong, I still get like that ache when everyone's rolling and it's like, I want to be in there because it's fun, you know. But when I'm in, like, other than being sick, like if I have something contagious, obviously I'm staying at home. I'm not risking the team, okay? But if I've got an injury, if I've got something that's going to prevent me from doing good work, I'm still going to the gym and I'm going to focus personally on coaching from the sidelines, helping out in class. Just, I want to consistently be there to do stuff, like whatever it is. I want that habit still. Because I find the few times that in my life where I have had to take extensive time off for injuries, I find it can get very difficult to get back to it.
Oh, really?
100% agree.
Yeah, when it's
100% agree.
No way.
When
Like
it's
I'm like
long-term
chomping
injuries,
at the bit.
yeah.
Get me in there.
I think that depends on the personality too.
I have lots of other things that I love that can easily distract me, and it's like, you know, whether that's video games or magic cards or reading the stack of novels.
Go
that's
ahead.
built
See,
up.
chalk me up as like the meathead that just wants to be in the gym. That's fine, dude. Like,
Javi's got a lot of hobbies.
I know movies,
Movies.
cinema being one.
But even
I
when we
do
talk,
love a good movie.
But even when we talk about just average student, just doesn't matter of the belted experience level, right? If you take an extensive period of time, it is difficult to come back. It is harder to come back than just literally going next day. It's more difficult, right? So, like, and again, we talked about this often too. I talk about this to my students. It's like, come into the class.
Yeah.
You know, you're not
Watch.
you watch,
Learn, write some
contribute.
notes.
Contribute. Be a partner. Let somebody drill with you.
Right. I broke my knee. You can still have my arm.
Right. It's some of these things that, you know, as granted, there are situations where you just can't. Knee surgery, you know, you're on crutches, you just can't. Okay. Like, I would not let you back on the mat. That's why he got kicked out.
I did.
I would have argued with you too, man. I was right there with you.
I was like,
But no, I can do stuff.
No, legit. It's like week following his surgery, and the door opens and he shows up. Oh.
Did you like the sound effects?
That was a great sound.
Mel Blair.
Your door doesn't sound like that.
I know it does. I had to do it. I knew he was capable. Oh my god.
No, he got that look. He turned around. He left. So yeah.
No, I mean, I John Jones'd my toe. Okay, like my toe nearly came off the foot.
Is that the term?
That's my term for it. Yeah,
That's the first one.
Where you dislocate your toe.
Again?
John Jones.
When you finish this story, I think there's a tangent we should run off with John Jones too. Going back to your UFC conversation.
Cool. Always an interesting tangent with John Jones. So I was out in San Francisco. I was doing a Sambo training camp. I went to roll at Gorilla Jiu-Jitsu. I've been there before. Great group of guys. Random total freak injury on the mat. Toe pops sideways, dislocates right at the joint. Okay, so my toe basically tears it half in the joint. And I'm like, this is going to ruin my vacation, which it did. Though I was still able to hobble around and stuff. And
I feel bad for you. You were in San Francisco.
Yeah, it was terrible.
I mean, I'm sure it was awful.
Yeah, it was truly awful. Actually, having to hobble around and doing all the tourist shit was actually pretty damn awful. But regardless, I get back as soon as I was, I go to class. I'm sitting on the sidelines. As soon as I felt able to, because they sewed it up right away. Like it hurt like hell. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, as soon as I was able to, I got back on the mats to do stuff. I wasn't rolling with people, but I'd rep the techniques I could. I'd let them work stuff on me. When I couldn't do that, I'd sit on the sidelines and help coach or just mock my teammates. You know, that's also always fun.
That right there.
Yeah.
That's.
Have you ever Tanner Rice somebody? Like, you ever seen that famous YouTube video of Tanner giving like the most upset coaching from the sidelines ever?
No.
Oh, I love it. We'll share that later. Yeah. Oh, the mock. Yeah,
He's going to Google. Yeah. I told you guys. I'm going to Google
the blatant mockery in his voice as he's coaching these two guys from the sidelines, and I'm like, I aspire to be that much of an asshole one day.
Dude, I like it. I really do. I like it.
So yeah. And then, you know, as soon as I could really get back in there, I put a blue shoe on my good foot and a red shoe on my bad foot. I'm like, red means stop, guys. Don't touch that fucking foot. Don't kneel on it. You know? Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah. So, you know, like I found my way to get back in. Obviously, I'm not rolling, you know, hard as hell. I'm not planning any competitions or anything, but I wanted to stay in the gym, keep busy, keep maintain the habits. And like I said, you know, like, I can be useful as an extra set of eyes to coach or you know, as the guy walking around correcting lower belts or whatnot. Right. So, you know.
Or even bring a notebook. Make notes. Yeah. If you're in the learning, you know, part of the whole journey, just make notes. Just be there.
I probably took more pictures of my coaches doing techniques and whatnot during that week when I was, or month or whatever the hell it was now. I have to actually look back how long it took me to actually get back on the mats. It wasn't long. But I took a lot of pictures and like I made it an important point. I'm like, okay, I can't do anything else right now, but I can definitely, you know, get on social media and let people know what cool stuff we're doing and stuff like that. So like I always found something to do so that I could be at the gym, you know, with the people I love that aren't my family. And, you know.
Got it. So let's get back to this John Jones.
Yeah, what's the John Jones side?
Dude, seriously, I'm not the social media guy, but
he was Googling.
No, I saw this morning.
What does it say?
He called out Stylebender.
I missed that one.
See, look it up.
Yeah.
So Stylebender called him out initially first.
Was it? Oh yeah. See,
there's some mutual call out action. That's what we're hearing.
And now we got some. So we're talking about mocking and John Jones and who doesn't enjoy some shit talk.
John Jones basically was like,
you
beat up a wrestler. You went basically 5 rounds with a wrestler and barely won. What do you think I'll do to you?
Actually, didn't he also give him shit over the Anderson Silva fight?
Yeah, he did.
He put that in there. Yeah,
you beat the goat that is not
the over the hill goat or whatever.
44-year-old goat or something like that. Yeah.
So
that's our goat. He's our age, guys.
Yeah, I know. He's actually he's our age. Right? Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. I think now with the whole UFC with the ESPN. With the pay-per-view now, so that from what I understand how it works, they have a set pay-per-view buy now. So there's no selling of the fights anymore. Whereas before it's like, let's try to hit 1 million pay-per-view buys because I get pay-per-view money.
Right.
Now it's
they don't get points on the pay-per-view.
Basically, everything is 500,000 pay-per-view buys. They just assume that.
Okay.
So if in that assumption, their pay-per-view points
that's factored into their fight contract.
So if they don't sell 500,000 pay-per-view buys, they sell 300, they're still going to get it at 500. But if they sell 1 million, they still get it at 500.
So they average it.
Right, they average it out. So there's hopefully this will then put a stop to all this bullshit fucking WWE hype. I can't stand it. Maybe I'm just old. I don't know.
Do you think it really will?
I hope it does. I don't know. I don't see the point. I mean, people try to hype the fight, and that's why they do that whole shit talking
do they have
thing.
Premium contracts for guys like Conor McGregor and John Jones?
Conor McGregor.
I can't imagine Conor McGregor's giving up all that money. You know, that potential.
He wants partnership. This guy is so
hype
ridiculous.
is still going to sell tickets. Right? You still got to fill the arena.
And if it's Conor McGregor or somebody that still gets that contract with the points on the contract, they're gonna talk just to sell the fight.
I would assume they would, right?
I don't think that's going to go.
They with Mayweather.
Yeah. I just think that Conor McGregor, him saying that he wants, I just think it's ridiculous. He could buy it. It's a publicly traded company. He could buy as much stock as he wants. I don't know why someone would just give him it. I don't get that. I don't understand that.
I don't know that there's enough publicly traded available shares for anyone to buy, not a majority share, but like a significant share. Like he wants a significant share.
Give him $50 million to get a significant share.
Okay, maybe I don't understand the stock market enough, but there are people that have majority share that have actual control of the direction of the company as a result. And then there's the publicly traded portion, which even if one person owned all of it, still doesn't have enough of a share necessarily.
No, you have like a board of directors. So you have a board.
That's what I'm saying. That's what he wants.
He can't get a seat on the board, but he could certainly.
That's what he's talking about.
He could buy a lot of the company. He could still own. If he was the, who's the?
You're not thinking like Conor McGregor though.
Who's the richest man in Saudi Arabia? That prince. If that prince wanted to throw in a
fuck out of
Yo, Jamie, pull that shit up.
Whoever that prince is in Saudi Arabia, he listens to the podcast all the time, so I forgive me if I don't remember your name.
We've definitely arranged him with that.
He just stumbled.
Yeah.
So if he decided to throw in, whatever, $10 billion in this, he's going to own a majority share of the UFC. He can certainly do so.
But there's still board of directors. There's still management in place.
To get a seat on the board.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. Like when he's talking about like he wants to be like partner, part owner, whatever. Like he doesn't want to just be like, oh yeah, I'm a shareholder.
He doesn't want to be like.
Do you guys really think that's what he wants?
Does Mark own some of it?
Yes, he does. Through that whole conglomerate of Mark.
Do you guys really think that's what he wants, or this is again part of the act?
Very possibly just some bullshit.
I don't know. It's bizarre. Like he retires. It's just, I don't know. It's so unfortunate. I think he needs to stop.
Because let's be honest. I mean, if that character didn't exist, he might not have the opportunities that he had.
Dude, if that character didn't exist, we wouldn't be sitting here having
talking about it.
This conversation.
Exactly. Well, we might be like, listen, that quiet, polite Irishman that always knocks motherfuckers out. Like, I really like him as a person and as an athlete, but yeah, we probably would not be talking about like that time he threw a dolly into a bus, and all the other crazy shit.
In reality, you're not seeing what he is as a real person. I mean, you're seeing a persona.
Almost everyone that I know that is like, pick a hated on figure in MMA. You're definitely
Dylan
Dennis 100% has people that I know personally that are like, no, it's all an act. He's a totally nice guy. It's just what he's doing to hype fights.
Yeah.
Okay, Colby Covington, same exact thing.
But the same thing in jiu-jitsu. I mean, same thing in any other sport. You'll have the guys who will just put an act, right?
Right, and don't get me wrong, there are guys that are legitimate assholes. I mean, like that's also a thing. But a lot of the guys that are playing the heel role are playing it. Right. I don't really like it. I don't enjoy that aspect of it very much, but I also can't deny that a lot of people do, and it does sell fights.
Right.
So yeah,
not everyone could be a George St. Pierre.
Right, and he's like one of my iconic examples, but he's actually a pretty terrible example because George St. Pierre is like this fantastically entertaining athlete sometimes, fantastically boring other times. So he has that mixed reaction where he can't even sell a fight necessarily just off the way he fights. So he has to have something more. At least some of that is probably posing half naked, looking like George St. Pierre. But
boy, we went down a really strange road right now, dude.
I don't even know. What is he post naked? I don't remember that.
Just like the UFC fight shorts are, like he's.
Oh, I thought I did like a Sports Illustrated.
That's why I said half naked. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, there's a reason there's a reason
he was starting to Google it over here.
Go ahead. I don't know that I want that results, but
why not? I'm in.
But no, he's like the guys that are good looking and all cut up and everything. Like they can sell fight off their looks. The girls that are good looking can sell a fight off their looks. The guys that have super exciting styles can sell the fight just based on what they do in the ring. Okay.
And some guys have to talk a lot of shit.
And some guys have to rely on charisma.
You caught that, what we're calling it?
That's the polite term for it.
Charisma. You have
air quotes. Well, like Colby Covington, like he doesn't interest me at all as a human being. His character doesn't interest me, but I will actually watch his fights.
Because you want to see him get beat.
No, I was because he's actually got some good technique. But plenty of people are going to tune in just because they want to see him die.
Right.
Okay. Like they're dreaming of the day that somebody lays a whipping on him. And he's disappointed them quite a lot, actually, hasn't he?
Yes.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's not my favorite thing. If I want to see that, I'll click the channel over and watch some pro wrestling. They do it better. But
yeah, I can't get into that.
Well,
at all.
I don't know what's wrong with you.
I don't even understand how. I don't get how you watch pro wrestling.
You still watch it?
Not as much anymore.
No.
But he still watches it.
Well, he still watches it.
I'll catch it here and there.
Okay,
like
okay.
I'm not an authority on like the current stories and
That's
all the
good.
hot characters and whatnot. There's a lot of guys that I'm like, who the fuck is that?
Mm-hmm.
You know. But I mean, I still enjoy the physical performance of it. I do enjoy the story and the spectacle of it when I have the opportunity to get into it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember. It's often called like a soap opera for men, and that's a pretty accurate description of
little
what
kids.
the back of like.
No, soap opera for little kids.
Dude, come on, man.
Don't
You
they look
didn't,
man?
you didn't
just
watch, you didn't
smashed
watch
you.
like the Hulkster and shit
Of
like
course,
that?
I did. I was a little kid. I was a little kid. I was like,
Yeah, no,
8 years
those
old.
arenas are not full of little kids. Don't deceive yourself.
dads taking their kids.
Not even. No.
These are like grown
mean,
adults.
Yes, 100%.
Come on, is that real?
Have you never been to a wrestling show?
No, never.
Have you never seen the crowd at a wrestling
Of
show?
course, I've seen it like on TV in the '80s.
Okay, Google that, I guess. Yeah, no, it's
Is
like
the crowd like just
SummerSlam, 1988.
yeah,
I remember when Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the Giant. That was like a huge thing
just
when I was younger.
showing how old you fucking are.
That was like awesome. You know?
It was. But no, I mean, like seriously, that's the demographic is not all children.
Oh man, I thought it was because that's when I watched him. I was a kid, so I
No.
just assumed
But-
I associated it with just
I
kids
got out of
watching.
it in high school and then back in college, you know, like Monday Night Raw, you'd sit around and watch like Degeneration X and
Yeah, no.
No idea
Stone
what that
Cold
is.
Steve Austin.
We know you don't.
And
We know you don't.
The Rock. You know who The Rock. Everybody.
I know The Rock.
Well, that's where
Yeah,
he started,
yeah.
right?
I didn't know that. I know. I never watched him in wrestling. I know him now. Like he does.
You know
all
him
these
as the
movies.
actor,
The actor.
Mr. The Rock. You know.
Dwayne
Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know he. But Brock Lesnar, I have no idea what he did, except when he came to UFC. Then I knew who he was.
Right.
But before that, I didn't know.
Right.
And
So
same with that other. Who's the other wrestler?
CM Punk.
CM Punk. I never
Phil?
heard of him. Phil Schwartz or something.
Brooks.
Sorry.
Schwartz is our friend from
That's
Portland.
right. you could get those two confused.
Oh,
Totally.
easily. Yeah, they're both
Right.
named Phil. Yeah.
Yeah, but now you got Ronda in there, right?
Right.
Yeah, she belongs there.
USA
I would say
Judo
that
to-
for sure. She belongs.
Damn.
And
Was that
UFC.
harsh criticism there?
That was a little bit
No,
because
but I
she
think-
always,
I think she's
she
actually
plays that role.
She's doing well for herself there. She seems to enjoy it. Definitely got nothing wrong with that.
No, to each
Yeah.
their own. Go for it.
But yeah, like I said, end of the story. Like most people I know that got into pro wrestling got into it as kids, and then a lot of them either stayed with it for a long time or got out of it at some point, like I did, and then got back into it. So like I was into it like really, really deep until I don't know, maybe till I was like 11 or 12 years old.
And then you found girls, and you're like,
Not the
"Fuck this
only
pro wrestling
not
shit."
the only factor.
I got
You
women.
you
There's
a
girls
point.
now.
You got a point. Like, chicks don't dig.
No, they don't.
not true.
There's no way.
There's a significant number of women in those audiences.
Really?
Yes, Jesus Christ.
Okay, if you say so. I don't know.
Yeah, no, there is.
Okay.
It's sometimes ear piercing.
All right.
But yeah, and then I got back into it like in my late teens and like early to mid 20s, and was very, very dedicated to it for a while. That was an interesting time with like Monday Night Raw competing with WCW, and you know that was really good. Like as pro wrestling went, that was a really good era of pro wrestling. So
Do they still have like the managers and stuff like that? Is that still a thing?
it's still a thing to a much lesser degree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not as big. But yeah, it's a different thing. It's not what I grew up with, and I don't like a lot of the things that have been changed about it. The way certain spots are done, the moves that have been banned for safety. Like I get it. Like I don't need guys getting their necks broken trying dangerous shit, but at the same time, it's like, man, how long has it been since I seen that move? So
Like what movie are you talking about?
like when you do a Death Valley driver,
Yeah.
which
no.
Google.
Google that shit
okay,
for me,
hold
please.
on. So when you lift a guy up on your shoulders like you're doing a fireman's carry,
Okay.
the old way of doing a Death Valley driver, you fall sideways as if to spike his head into the mat.
Okay.
And at the last minute or so, one, you pull his head down, okay, so he's forced to take a tuck and roll a bit. And at the last minute, you kind of let him go, so he lands not on the top of his head to hurt his neck, but he lands in a natural break fall position. Then you turn, you've knocked him out, and you roll over and you pin him.
Right.
Okay, that's how it works. Nowadays, like to make it extra safe, most guys that do some variation of the Death Valley driver, like Vince McMahon, does not want them to do it the dangerous way because they don't want to risk an injury. Understandable, but it looks so weak by comparison because they've got him in the fireman's carry airplane spin position, and they like throw them off their shoulders in this big arch, and they land flat on their backs, and it doesn't look like any.
Wait. They had moves from when I was younger where they would do like the claw on your head, and the guy would fall down. I mean, come on now. What are we doing? He's got a point, dude. What the fuck? What are you guys talking about?
There's definitely some really silly
Hulk
moves.
Hogan just his leg,
the leg drop, bro.
The leg drop. And
Don't be dissing the leg drop. Come on. He was very good at that. That was his
Say your
thing.
prayers, eat your vitamins. Come on, man.
No, but
It's so crazy.
Dude.
yeah, so
Only kids would believe that shit. That's why I can't believe adults are going
It's
to
the
this.
story, man. It's the story.
it's not like I believe it's real. That's not what we're arguing about here.
I
It's
know,
not real.
But that's what
I'm sorry. Oh,
But
Jesus,
that's
we're
what
not
I
going to
can't
start the
remember.
Santa Claus Tooth
Maybe
Fairy
it's just
thing.
I
are we?
just if I see something that's
Jackie Chan isn't real either. But if his choreography was shitty, you wouldn't enjoy the movie.
yes,
That's what I'm saying.
yes.
Okay, so I'm saying like they've changed the choreography in a way that I don't appreciate it the way I used to, so it's not as enjoyable to me.
But if Jackie Chan was doing those moves in front of me, that'd be that's like Cirque du Soleil. But when I see a guy fake throw a punch, it just doesn't. It's like,
I don't know, man. Like some of the falls they take and shit, you watch it and you're like,
Oh, yeah.
how
Yeah.
do
Some of
you
the
get
falls
out
are
from that
ridiculous.
bullshit?
I kind of dislike the idea that it's fake because obviously
No,
it's
physically.
real and
That's
physical.
why they're all
and-
fucked up, right? They're all,
It's
you know,
when they
they're all
throw
jacked
each
up now.
other into the ring and the guy runs back and it gets like clotheslined.
That's awesome.
That's so ridiculous. Like, just stop running. Like, just stop yourself from running, and that will never. That's what. That's the kind of silliness I'm talking about. If they made it more realistic, then okay. But
Yeah, but then
the
it'd be
silliness,
UFC.
Right. It used to-
exactly.
it-
You know what I
Watch
mean?
the
So
UFC,
now you
guys.
take the story out
It
of
used
it.
to be
and-
realistic. Like way back in the day before any of us were born, it was realistic, and
Yeah,
people didn't
yeah.
want to see that. They wanted to see spectacle.
wanted to see spectacle.
And spectacle's easier to fake.
I
That's the
guess.
other thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like it's easier to do something big and dramatic that looks cool, and the crowd pops for it,
Yeah.
and you make all your money that way than it
Yeah.
is to actually learn how to wrestle and
Yeah,
do
yeah.
real moves and stuff.
Right.
So,
That's-
but yeah. So that's what
It's
I'm
all
saying.
fun. I get it. It's good.
Yeah, like.
Whatever keeps the kids off the drugs.
Well, I don't know that that's helping at all. No comment on that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Might not have helped your cause on that point.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
You know?
Hulk Hogan has taken enough steroids for everyone.
Oh, what do you think about that TJ Dillashaw? Ooh. Oh my God.
I mean, the only positive light I have on that at all.
So go with the story because, like, I only saw headlines.
Oh, so it's
I'm a headline skimmer. Like, I'll read the headline. Obviously,
TJ
pissed
Dillashaw
hot.
Got
2
popped
years.
for EPO. EPO that is injectable. So it's not like a tainted supplement. It's
So he straight up was shooting himself.
straight up
Right.
shoot himself up with EPO.
And to make matters worse, Cody Garbrandt, before their fight, had straight up accused him of that. And he's like, the dude's on EPO. Uriah Faber had accused
Yep.
him of being on drugs and,
Right.
and got, like, I think it was Dominic called him, like, it was on an interview. He's like, he's on drugs. He's like, aren't you his former coach? How long has he been on these drugs? And Hall had to, like, backtrack a little bit there. But yeah, so this has been like a known thing for a
Right.
while, especially from the Team Alpha Male guys saying stuff. Those are his former
Right.
teammates.
And so I guess that the tests have gotten better, I guess, or they
No,
didn't
no.
taste. They weren't testing for EPO.
EPO is apparently an extra expensive
Right.
test that you have to do. Nobody gets run through that as like a standard thing.
Right.
And
That was
they
it.
had reason to suspect, I guess.
And they did it on him. He gets popped. Then they tested samples from the Cody Garbrandt, and that popped.
Right.
So now they know at least the last couple fights he's been on EPO. So who knows how long he's been on it
Right.
from career, maybe even Henan Barao. I mean, who knows? But whatever this does, a lot of people say he should be banned more than 2 years. Just quit.
Right. They gave him a 2-year
altogether.
suspension.
How do you come back? How do you come back?
I don't know. People forgive all kinds of stuff, so I don't
true.
actually know what the answer to that is.
You own it, right?
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
the first thing you do. Hey, guys,
That's what I
raise
was
your
just gonna
hand.
say.
I fucked up. You
Which
caught
he
me.
did. He did.
Yeah, like the only positive thing out of this whole thing was TJ Dillashaw did not try to sell us some fucking story about tainted supplements or any other bullshit.
Yeah.
Like it was just straight up, I'm giving up my title
Right away.
I got caught. Like no
Cheating.
Yeah,
Cheating. That's cheating.
Yeah, agreed. But
Yeah.
yeah, so terrible.
But look at what it does for the Cody. Like Cody lost those fights. Look.
Those should probably be no contests officially.
I mean, but not.
Yeah, but the die is cast already.
Oh, yeah,
because
no,
at the
for
time,
sure.
then he falls in the rankings and he loses what he
Yeah,
would have gained from winning those
100%.
fights.
And not only that, but then his confidence, everything dropped. He's like, "Fuck, I don't even know. Should I be doing it?"
Yeah, he
He's
went on a
questioning-
fantastic lose streak since then.
Yeah, he's been on a lose streak because all that, because this guy decided to cheat. It just seems 2 years. You kind of ruin a guy's life.
I wouldn't go that far because
You don't
if you
think-
look at other sports, I think there's definitely almost like a drop off point. You look at the NFL, you get the guy that's got the $20 million contract. He's 29 years old, and then next year they fucking send him packing, and they're like, the guy sucks. You're like, how did they see that happening?
Yeah. Right.
So I wouldn't say that a losing streak was the result of that one fight. I mean, he may have hit that point.
Right.
Possibly too. Yeah.
I love playing devil's advocate.
Good at it.
Very good at it.
I'm just gonna take another perspective and
There's nothing wrong with that. But I mean, it's just unfortunate. I know he's got to pay some fines, right? I'm sure.
Man, I don't know the full extent of it. Like I said, the main thing I heard about is the 2-year suspension.
I would assume they'd have to pay some type of fine, right?
Oh, well,
But-
it's an investment, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure his fine isn't going to be
But
what he
even
made
after-
on those fights.
Even after 2 years, by the time you get back, I mean, it's going to be
Well, I mean, at this point, we have to assume like everyone's going to talk mad shit on him. His legacy has been tainted. Assuming he comes back 2 years from now, he's not that old, so like it's not like this is a career ender. 2-year suspension.
How old is he?
Not that
No,
old.
don't worry. I'm going to Google not that
Thank
old.
you.
Young JT.
That's what I'm here for.
Pull that up.
That's what I'm here for. The guy that remember we were talking and you were like, dude, you suck at technology. Mm-hmm.
Yet he's the
I
master
can Google
of
like
Google.
a motherfucker.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like
I mean, people forgave John Jones, so
John Jones has definitely done a lot of worse stuff.
I mean, there's still question marks about what the fuck he's been taking.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot
Besides cocaine.
Well, yeah. There's a lot of spin
dick
on
pills.
there's a lot of spin on his steroids.
That's it. That guy's life. I mean,
He's 33, bro.
Yeah,
wow,
that's
okay. So
You don't think that's that old?
So
I think that, and as a
35?
professional athlete,
I think
I
he's-
mean, they say they peak at 30, between 30 and 35 is the peak.
Yeah. So
You think? I
he-
think
You come
Yeah,
back
earlier,
at
man.
35, you get few fights before you
Yeah,
get
you-
to that
well,
top.
let's get it right.
presumably
He's
not
going
a
to come
long
back for
career.
at least one because he'll come back. Whatever he comes back from, people are going to tune in.
For sure.
They're going to, like you said before,
Right,
the
they're either going to want to see him get redemption, or they're going to want to see him.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, they're going to
Yeah.
want to see him get fucking flattened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys think that suspension should be longer?
A lot of people have said that they should be a
My big question was, what does situations like that, what they do for the sport? Forget about the people. For the guy,
People
who,
gone off the
who did it
table.
wrong, right? Like
Right.
For a second, just put that aside. What happens to the sport?
Nothing. I don't think anything happens. I think
You don't
people-
think that
I
creates a perception of
Nah, because it
Well,
happens in
okay.
baseball, football. I mean, every sport has.
Hold on.
has that
Despite the
issue.
UFC's
Olympics.
best efforts, there's still a very popular opinion that everyone at the highest levels of most athletics is on something, and it's just a matter of the guys that don't get caught are better at hiding
Hiding
it,
it.
or
Or lucky.
or cycling
Just-
off.
I think
or
what
whatnot.
people ignore a lot is that professional athletes are treated as cattle. You know what I mean? Like, ones especially in sports when you start getting to the higher levels, like big college, professional, like they're cattle, man. Those guys are specimens.
Right.
So if they're loading them up full of shit, it's just kind of like, well, you're gonna make millions. I mean, what's $100,000 fine to TJ Dillashaw?
Right.
Guys made millions.
Right.
Okay, here you go. Thanks. I'm gonna go live out the rest of my life. I'll see you guys.
Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at those NFL players, you're right, man.
Dude, watch the combine.
NFL players are definitely on a different level than most
watch
UFC
the combine.
fighters. Though.
Like,
Let's
and
be
look
very
at
clear on that.
look at some of look at some of the interviews with guys. Is like, they'll come in and they're like, dude, they put you in front of a fucking room and you're in a pair of shorts and they're like arms up and turn around and they're taking pictures of you and it's like they're just looking at you like, dude, you're legit livestock.
Yeah.
Right.
And I know it's probably an extreme way to say things,
Right.
but
I mean, I
as an
largely
owner-
side with you in that regard.
as an owner of an NFL team or a sports franchise or the UFC, I mean, you're making a 7-figure investment in an individual. So I think it's wise to protect that investment. I think to whatever extent you're going to.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, certainly. I mean, I know that, when you look at those NFL, those teams, the brand alone. You know, forget the players on the roster, but the brand. They just got to keep pumping that brand. People aren't necessarily tuning into every.
The UFC
every
is
guy on
different that way
roster.
because for the UFC is a brand of its own, but then each individual fighter is the brand.
Yeah.
Like we don't have teams per se in UFC. I mean, we do, but it's not a team sport. No. I mean, what team do you care about within the UFC? You care about a lot of individual athletes, right?
Individual athletes, right?
Yeah, like you're not like, man, AKA all the way.
Right. Yeah, I
you
care
know,
less about
no,
that.
you're like,
No,
I
but
like
at the
DC
same
or I
time, when
like
you have,
Khabib
but at
from
the same
AKA.
time, when there's a coach, you know, specific coach, and you know he's producing fighters,
Like TriStar, for
well,
example.
for example, right? You tend to lead or follow that camp because you know they're successful producing,
Right.
you know,
No,
winning fighters, right?
But
So-
there's only a few like that, really. Like in my mind, you know, who's producing multiple champions? We've got like Jackson Winklejohn, AKA TriStar, Alpha Male, some of the Brazilian teams like Shootbox and whatnot. Like, but it's still not. Just as I'm a fan of, say, GSP or Khabib, doesn't mean I'm a fan inherently of everyone that's a teammate of theirs. You know,
Right.
like
no, absolutely.
so. Yeah, it's different. But again, it's a very individualized sport, so that's to be
Do
expected.
you think?
I think.
Do you think it compares to jiu-jitsu teams, the UFC?
No,
teams?
that's a little
right?
different
It's a little different.
because we do still. I mean, like as jiu-jitsu athletes, you do accumulate points that can win some kind of team award.
Yeah, what is up with
in
that
certain-
team award? I never really understood. Like, they get a team award, but what does that even mean? Is that just
It means you fielded the most athletes that won the most matches, essentially.
Does anyone ever know like who won the 2012 one?
Yeah, a lot of people know.
Do they?
I mean,
Like,
they have
especially
it.
when you're the one that won it. So yeah, I think the last Chicago Open Alliance took, and the one before that was Carlson's.
I know Carlson's takes it because there's just so many. I think it's
Well,
a volume thing.
That's part of it. Like it's that balance of you obviously want to put a field as many athletes as you can, but you also want as many medals as you can get. So it's not like you can just be like, we'll throw anyone in there and hope for the best. It's like no, you need killers. So
You're building the brand too,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
And you know you're expanding your name. I mean, there's franchising rights and stuff like that with those businesses. So
Right.
Atos is only in California. There's only one Atos location, right?
No,
No, they have
they've got-
affiliates.
Atos HQ
Is
is
in
in San Diego.
But is Atos like 10th Planet, like all around the world?
They have
Yes,
affiliates.
They have
yeah.
affiliates
They do?
all over the place. I don't know how many. I'm gonna actually guess they have less than Eddie has 10th Planet affiliates.
10th Planet is a lot.
Yeah,
Over 100
Didn't
now.
used to be like that.
But they do now.
Yeah. There's a lot. But
So who's besides 10th Planet's got to be one of the biggest, right? Besides like Alliance. I mean, when it comes down to it,
man, I don't really know. Gracie Baja's probably
Gracie
the
Baja
biggest.
is the biggest, right?
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean,
Right.
Those two are probably the most
don't I Google it?
organized, I think.
Thank you.
I'm gonna get on Google here.
that one's actually, I think, probably a hard one to figure out.
you know, I think
not
that
every
the
affiliation
challenging
publishes how many.
Not even there, but I think there is a very gray line with the affiliation, quote unquote, you know,
Right.
definition.
Yeah.
Some places are friends or networks, or another one like Gracie Baja is a good example where there was a franchise business associated
Right.
with it, and they are, you know, pumping that out. They're advertising in a certain way. Alliance is another one, and I think Atos is doing a pretty good job too.
Right.
You know,
Hold on, we have it
Oh.
according to Google.
What's Google say?
Ready?
Google's got a
Drum.
fucking answer. It's I'm gonna murder some of these. Sorry. Gracie Baja, number one.
Yeah.
Nova Unao,
Okay.
392 schools.
Jesus, I didn't realize there were that many. Honestly.
BJJ Globetrotters,
Okay, now that one's unfair, but we can get back to that.
329 schools.
I never.
what is that?
So
I've
Glo-
heard of them, but I didn't know it was that
I never
big.
heard of them.
I'm super aware of them. I have friends that are involved with them.
Okay.
So, but Globetrotters, like, there's not. I guess. Okay, Globetrotters is kind of like an organization where guys travel around and do seminars in foreign countries and big group events and whatnot. But they also allow guys to compete under their banner. So guys can like get your black belt from anywhere or whatever belt color, obviously, and you can compete under the Globetrotters name. and like the only thing that's required for your school to be recognized is other Globetrotters. Maybe there's a little bit more paperwork than this, but like the main thing is other people that are in the Globetrotters organization have to be allowed to train at your school when they're in your area. So if I had a Globetrotters Chicago, let's say, if I set that school up and like somebody's like, hey, I'm staying in town, I'm from Norway, and be like, oh yes, well, thank you, my brother, come in, you train for free because we're all Globetrotters here. So like,
but your school has to be called Globetrotters. It could be called Javier's.
I think you just have to be like a Globetrotters. Yeah, I don't think that it has a factor in the
Who's
name.
number
at all.
4?
Number 4, GF team.
That doesn't surprise me actually.
245 schools. Yeah. And number 5 is Alliance, 98.
Alliance.
Now this was after this was as of April 13th, 2017.
Okay, so just a couple of years.
Eddie has not gained 100+ schools in
No,
in
but
just
I
2
know
years.
I know he's
But
over
got-
100.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
It's big. It's
Yeah.
it's way. If you had told me 6 years ago what the rate of growth would be from when I joined 10th Planet, I probably would not have believed you. I would have been very happy to hear it. I'm like, that's amazing. But yeah, like seeing it from the inside, it's been like really.
Who's pushing it?
I mean, what do you mean? Who's pushing?
Like,
it?
is Eddie going out there? I mean, can you fill paperwork out online?
Man,
who's doing all that?
I don't know how the
Just
full
seems
affiliate
very
process.
fast.
I don't know how the full affiliate process works,
Yeah, yeah.
but like Eddie is an in-demand brand, at least in part because Joe Rogan, reaches millions of people. Like I can't count the number of times where guys have come into 10th Planet Chicago and been like, "Hey, man, how'd you hear about us?" "Oh, Joe Rogan podcast. Eddie's on all the time."
Yeah.
This, that, and the other thing. So,
But they also have a very unique product.
right.
do.
There's that as well.
It's-
In fact, we've talked
yeah.
about that a few times. Just how few.
Weren't they kind of like the first ones to start putting crazy names on jiu-jitsu moves?
No.
I mean,
Well, I think they streamline it. It was
a different kind of crazy,
right,
maybe.
Right.
a certainly different kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But doing no gi all day, that's another.
Yeah, no gi
That's,
all day.
that's
every
not
day
a
is big-
Brazilian thing at all.
Well, it is, but it's not jujitsu at that point. Like
I mean, there's a
Mo-
debate, and I don't know how I stand on it, where you have someone who goes to 10th Planet and starts out as a white belt and then gets his black belt, right? Through the whole process, but has never thrown a gi on. So is he, when he throws a gi on, would you consider him still a black belt? There's that people say, well, no, he's got to train in the gi to be a black belt, but no gi is its own sport almost. So
Here's
he
the
would
thing.
to be a black belt in no gi.
here's the thing: I will always honor somebody's belt rank. Okay, within the confines of jiu-jitsu. It gets a little trickier when we start talking about other martial arts and whatnot. But within the confines of jiu-jitsu, I will always honor somebody's rank. That person's probably not going to be a very good black belt in the gi.
Right.
Much as the way somebody who's like a dedicated lapel and spider guard player probably has a bit of a struggle
In no gi.
taking off the gi
For
and going to
sure.
no gi.
For sure.
Somebody
can
who
I
has a
actually
much more
agree.
balanced game,
So can I challenge that?
Sure.
So if somebody received a black belt in judo, which is a significant part of stand-up, a significant part of jiu-jitsu, and there are aspects of judo that go to the ground,
right?
should that be honored in jiu-jitsu?
It specifically is not.
Well, it's just
Should
a
it be-
conversation,
should it
right?
be
Because
is
we're
another
going into
question.
that into that arena.
And
of-
that's why I specified, when we start
The thing
adding
is
in
with-
elements from other martial
with
arts,
no
it gets
gi
tricky.
and gi, the movements are they're just right there. There's very they're right there. You throw an
core has
armbar
an-
up in no gi, throw an
right.
armbar in the gi. It's
Well,
very
that's
similar.
true in judo too. Like,
you know?
where do you think you got your armbar from?
right.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
like,
a good question. Yeah, I don't know.
so here's the thing.
I don't know if about judo to even argue.
Well,
this.
I'm just kind of
I don't know how
curious
much
if
judo-
we separate jiu-jitsu no-gi and jiu-jitsu gi,
Right.
But-
should we separate or combine
Right.
sports that are very similar in the fashion? Like
You're
judo
running
and
down a
jiu-jitsu?
bit of a rabbit hole there,
Well,
too.
yeah,
because
absolutely.
then you
But
can
this
start
is
talking about
interesting. This is an
wrestling,
interesting
sambo,
rabbit hole,
sambo,
right,
yeah.
right,
So
yeah.
now
Right.
what?
So
It's an intriguing topic,
Okay,
right? I don't
So
think-
let's ignore sambo for a minute, not because it's not great or anything, but just because we don't actually have belt ranks in sambo. So
it's-
like,
it doesn't matter.
right. So that gets tricky in terms of like, well, what belt rank are you? I don't know. I'm wearing the red one, like, or I'm wearing the blue one. That's how it works. You know how good you are at sambo basically by how well you've done at an international level in competition. And that's just that's the way it works in wrestling. We don't talk about guys that are like, oh yeah, he's amazing in the gym, but he's never won a NCAA or a world championship or even a high school tournament. Like, no, that doesn't exist. That only exists in like jiu-jitsu and other martial arts. So here's the thing. First of all, let's look at the historic context here. Okay, so jiu-jitsu comes from judo, but becomes its own separate entity over time. And anyone who says they're the same thing is being facetious and probably hasn't trained enough of one, the other, or both. Okay, so they're definitely their own separate sports and their own separate entities, even if they started. Well, if jiu-jitsu comes from judo. Okay, then there didn't used to be any no-gi per se. Okay, because no-gi was be one of two things. Okay, it was either training for Vale Tudo, which a lot of guys, when they started off, wanted to do jiu-jitsu and wanted to do the UFC. Like, that was a serious goal for plenty of people. And I have personally been to plenty of early days jiu-jitsu gyms where it's like, oh, what's going on over there? Oh, they're doing Vale Tudo, like in bad boy shorts. And, slap boxing. You guys probably remember that era.
Dude,
right?
are we getting back to the half-naked George St. Pierre?
Are we circling back?
Sadly, that's the way it was.
He's leading into it.
Everyone remembers the bad boy shorts, right? Anyhow, so there was no dedicated, like, it was just something you did alongside, because there was no no-gi championships back then. If you were doing no-gi, you were doing it for the purpose of fighting. That was your Vale Tudo training. But then you have a separate entity, also from Brazil, that is dedicated no-gi training, and that's Luta Livre. Okay? Considered a totally separate art. Different ranking structure, not considered equivalent to each other at all. Okay? And that right there, in my opinion, is where the strong Brazilian bias probably comes from originally. It's that if you were grappling and you're doing no-gi, of course you're not doing jiu-jitsu. You're doing Luta Livre or Vale Tudo. Jiu-jitsu is only the gi in that context. Okay? Fast forward, like, no-gi becomes a thing, and now the IBJJF has no-gi world championships. Okay? That didn't used to be a thing. You wanted to do no-gi grappling championships? What did you do? You did Abu Dhabi. You did Grappler's Quest. You did Naga. Like, those were the big things. So, not that I'm blaming them, but the fact that we have now taken and adapted no-gi to something that other people that are doing gi jiu-jitsu are kind of almost expected to do, because, hey, you could win a world title at this, you go to an IBJJF and some tournaments have gi on one day and no gi on another. Like, that's just normal now, but it didn't used to be normal. Those were entirely separate entities. So you're already creating a problem within the gi jiu-jitsu community without even bringing in something that's like, oh, we do dedicated no-gi over here because we're 10th Planet, or we do dedicated no-gi over here because, we're members of Danaher's Death Squad. Like, those are no-gi focused training programs. Don't necessarily have athletes that are proficient in the gi. Still have athletes that could compete in the gi, probably not well. I mean, we see, like, Gordon talk about, his transition to gi was going terrible, in fact.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So they are equivalent to me.
For you, Javi, you're a brown belt.
I'm an LCCT brown belt.
But in 10th Planet,
I'm okay. So officially, I'm a purple belt in 10th Planet.
See, that's where it kind of goes off the roads for me, because that's where it gets strange.
But that's rank. That's not about.
But if you are a purple belt, let's just say not you. If a purple belt in 10th Planet goes throws a gi on, he would throw on a purple belt. Right. But you go backwards, you're still a purple belt.
No, I don't wear my purple belt there.
I understand that.
Everyone treats me as a brown belt.
Purple belt.
No. Everyone treats me as a brown belt. All I'm saying is I don't have an official certificate that says I'm a 10th Planet brown belt.
Okay.
I'm never treated as a purple belt. Okay. I like to make the distinction because, like, I don't want anyone calling me out and being like, well, actually, officially on this record, it only shows that you were given this, like, that's a matter of public record, and I just want to be transparent on that kind of stuff.
That's where it kind of gets weird for me.
I don't officially have a brown belt from 10th Planet.
Right.
I am still treated as a brown belt, and Eddie has that proviso where when, if guys transfer into the system, he will respect their belt up to brown belt. To demonstrate that you have a black belt, you have to show that you know enough of the core 10th Planet techniques before he would consider that.
Agree.
So, yeah. And we've had plenty of guys that have gone the opposite direction, that have decided to throw on the gi. In some cases, they feel like they need to start over. most cases, the guys are like, no, man, put on the gi, wear the rank you earned, and accept the fact that you're probably going to struggle a bit as you get used to grips and grip breaking and all this different stuff. But yeah, like we have plenty of guys that train with like Jean-Jacques, for example, okay, because that's all in the family for us. And Jean-Jacques not going to be like, listen, man, your 10th planet black belt is no good here. I want you to put on a white belt and get real. That's not going to happen. Okay. No. He's not even going to tell a guy that, no, he's just going to be like, put on your black belt, come learn, be humble.
Exactly. You know? I completely agree with you.
But yeah, but then you like Keenan actually is a great topic of discussion for this weekend, but is also like a prime example of that because Keenan doesn't like no-gi, but has competed fairly extensively in no-gi. Has talked publicly about how long it takes him to adapt his game, which again, like this is a guy that plays like worm guard and things like that a lot. So like he's very focused on grippiness.
Tall, dude. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Oh god, he's such a giant standing next to me.
Like,
but
of course.
But yeah, so like it takes him a while to adapt his game to no-gi. Obviously, it doesn't change the fact that he's one of the greatest grapplers on planet Earth today. But like if he's prepping for like a world-class championship of some kind, like ADCCs or no-gi world or something like that, like he needs time to spend out of the gi, adjust his games, get used to not having his grips, play different guards, all that stuff.
Right.
And then I think he's actually said that it takes him longer to adjust for a no-gi competition than it does to go from no-gi back into the gi. Like it comes right back for him. That's him. You know, not everyone's the same, obviously.
Tom, you do no-gi at your school. How's your schedule work?
We have some classes a couple times a week for no-gi, yeah. We primarily gi, but yeah.
But you do have no-gi as well.
We do have
I do like the way Seraphin does it, where he fucks with his guys that way.
He does it random, yeah.
Yeah, he's just
I think it's not random. It's every other week, isn't it?
Every other week, yeah.
I think he sometimes does change in big tournaments.
That's how he does it, but nobody can remember.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So you just got to have all your shit all the time. You know what I mean?
That's solid.
We were messing with them. Like, I mean, now everybody knows they bring both. But they showed up without shorts. Nope, go home. So
I have never most of the classes I teach are no gi. I mean, I teach some gi classes too. I've never had anyone walk out on me when I've been like, no, it's a no gi day. Everyone's always been cool with that. But I have actually been told stories where guys like, oh, this is no gi day, and whoop, right out the door.
Out the door.
Yeah. So
it's definitely a preference. I mean, there are some guys that guys and girls that just don't like one or the other.
Yeah.
And nothing wrong with that.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. There's enough grapples to go around for everyone. So
absolutely.
I don't know. I like to try, and like I actively try to do this. I try to keep a very even 50-50 split in my personal training, both in how many classes I teach that are no-gi versus gi, although like I said, the majority of them at this point are probably no-gi. But my own personal training, like if I'm going to do no-gi on Monday, let's balance that with a gi session Monday at noon. If we're going to do all gi on Tuesday, let's make Thursday all no-gi, something like that.
And I think, what about you? You come from no-gi. Are you
comes from no-gi, but he hates it.
No, I don't.
You love gis. I love gi. You love gi, and you have so many of them.
I do have a lot of them. No, I train 1 day a week now in no-gi. So Wednesdays at 6 o'clock, I do no-gi. It's just because Fridays are my off days.
Your recovery day.
That's my recovery day, and that's the next class is Fridays for no-gi for us. So I train 1 day a week no-gi, but majority it's gi. The other 3.5 days.
Yeah,
so, but
that's good.
I enjoy it. I mean, in Mineko, when it's no-gi season, he pushes a lot of no-gi, but when it's not, he follows the rules. Well, whatever. I'll put that in quotes, the rules. But traditional.
And for the record, I can appreciate that for guys that are competing, in the IBJJF where we're trying to get ready for no-gi pans, no-gi worlds and stuff like that. Obviously, we want to push more no-gi if that's the focus of the gym.
Right.
But I think the majority of the people that I know that do compete in the IBJJF are pretty focused on gi jiu-jitsu.
Yes.
And that's, that's just the way of things.
Yeah. And to each their own.
Absolutely.
So what else, guys?
I don't know. Do we want to discuss the Keenan thing?
I do.
Do you know
what's
going
to discuss?
I don't even know.
He was
just got kicked out of Atos.
Right?
That's
No, I got that. But what else is there?
I did not hear that. So talk to me.
The details are scarce, so that's the only reason I didn't want to.
That's why I said that. Like, what's there to talk about?
Fucking
He got
Google
kicked.
Yeah.
it, man. What's you waiting for?
He was on the phone on the way here.
Yeah.
Was he?
Googling.
Dude, we were talking about that on the way.
So there's a lot of there's a lot of people trying to figure out what's going on. Keenan has been asked to leave Atos. He's off the team. He said Galval asked him to leave. One of the big theories, and that's all this is fan theory at this point because he hasn't discussed it,
Go ahead.
is he's doing it. Huh?
He's an alien.
Okay, so that was like fifth down on the list, but I was going to get there eventually. Went straight.
Wait, what the
straight
fuck
Alex
happened?
Jones on there.
I'm trying to Google. We got aliens going on. What? Oh god.
No, so Atos has a bunch of guys that are all in the 88 kilos weight class. Keenan is one of them. Josh Hinger is another. Hulk is another. What's his name? Jesus, I can never remember how to actually say this kid. Kynan, I think is. Kynan's also in that weight class, isn't he?
I believe so.
Okay, I'm not 100% sure on him. But regardless, so they have an abundance of guys all in that weight division. Okay, Atos usually does closeouts. Keenan won't do closeouts with his teammates. So he always wants to fight for it. And that's apparently been an issue. And then he's doing ADCC. And so is Josh Hinger. So they're both at 88 kilos. Both would be competing under Atos. And there's some belief that that is the main point of contention. That Keenan won't bow out and let Josh take that spot.
Well, okay.
So
Well, wait. You can't. So you can't have two people go to ADCC.
you can.
Oh,
You can't.
okay.
They have to fit. That for ADCC, you have
But
to
they'll
fight
have
in
to
the
fight each other,
first
right?
round.
So
Right.
well, they're going to fight anyway.
Right. And in IBJJF, you would fight in the last round typically.
But what I'm saying is, you kick them out of the gym. Guess what? They still have to fight.
Well, that's not right. But now he's not.
Who gives a fuck? They're still fighting. End of the day, if he's with Atos or he's with another gym, those two are still going to fight. So what the fuck are we doing?
very
So just let
possible.
them fucking fight.
But
Who
now
gives
they
a
could.
shit?
Now they could meet in the finals this way.
Oh God, Jesus! All right, well, let's just let them fight.
So that's
it.
That's part. Keenan has said that there's more to it than that it's a multifaceted thing.
There's always more to it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when you develop a personality, isn't there kind of like a natural, like you
I don't
develop
even know-
a personality and a name?
There's a lot
and
of personalities
You
over there,
start
too.
making money.
I don't
think
know
that's
that this is
probably a big
necessarily a
thing.
bad thing for him. I mean, I don't know the details, but I mean,
Well, hold on. Google.
There you go. Google.
I'm gonna go.
Perhaps
I'm gonna
in
go
the-
Google. And
Perhaps in a couple of hours since I read about it.
I know.
Yeah.
And
check
according-
Keenan's Instagram story. That's probably.
According to Flow Grappling, the obvious choice for Keenan
Oh,
is
God, those
now
bastards.
Checkmat.
Ah, okay.
That is like one of the physically closest locations. Like if he's not
Yeah.
moving out of San Diego, Checkmat HQ is down there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would probably be a
He doesn't have to move far.
right.
They'll give him a little more autonomy.
I don't know.
That's according to Flow Grappling.
Keenan
Like,
could-
I'm
Keenan could
incapable
probably-
of independent thought, so that's why I have my Google on speed dial.
Keenan could probably just be like, he could go to Instagram right now and be like, who wants to help me open up Keenan, no longer online, but Keenan brick and mortar jiu-jitsu school, fly me to your location and I'll be your superstar grappling coach. There's got to be somebody who would bite that.
Yeah, but I don't think he's there because he needs a room of killers to kind of get him better.
Depends
He's
what
not
his
going
goal
to
is.
open up a school and have a bunch of white and blue belts training with him. Not going
Well,
to
it depends what his goal is. If
Right,
he,
no,
if he
I'm
wants to
saying-
continue
I
competing,
think you'd still
then
get
yes.
higher level guys that would probably
Come over
flock and come and
Yeah.
train. Hey, Keenan's opening a school. I live in. I don't want to say somewhere that would offend someone. So
Let's say he's opening up a
the
school
middle
here in
of
Chicago.
nowhere.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, he's definitely got guys that are probably pretty loyal to him at Atos. Some of those guys would potentially leave with him and still may. But yeah,
How old is Keenan?
Up,
In his 20s?
Go to that Googles again.
See, I'm a Google guy. I'm the designated Google guy now.
Late 20s, I would think.
I'm here for a reason.
See, I knew there was a reason why I wanted
I
to
was
bring
just
it
gonna
here.
say-
That's it.
He's 27, bro.
Yeah, there you
He's
go.
a kid. I mean, he's a kid. He's 27.
27.
He's of that age where he probably doesn't want to be referred to as a kid anymore. But it's just the way it is, man.
Dude, seriously. I mean, he's a kid that had tapped me out and like,
Yeah.
No matter
4.2
what,
He is a
seconds.
murder
I'm
beast,
not-
yeah.
that's fine. I'll take it.
no
But,
matter
I mean, really,
what, that's a
27.
difficult position to be in on both ends. To be honest with you,
And again, like I said,
from
don't have all the details. Like
Right.
spout an internet rumor here.
Yeah, no. But
I cited my source.
leaving a
Right.
camp
Yeah,
like this
so we're
is
good.
going to be hard to fill. That kind of training partner camp, and
Oh, yeah, no, Atos is,
and then
one of the
asking
top
somebody like
competitive
that to leave is not an easy position either. So
Right.
it's I'm sure they had their reasonings, and it is what it is.
And everyone's going to have their side of the story yet
There's
to come
always
out.
two sides of every story.
But yeah,
Always.
so that big shakeup just happened.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm personally interested to see where he lands. I'm curious because he's originally from Hawaii,
Yeah.
and then he moved out east to like the DC metro area
Right.
to train with Lloyd, and then ended up in San Diego with
San
Atos.
Diego,
So it's
yeah.
like it's not like he hasn't moved around for jiu-jitsu.
Well, he got his black belt from Galvao, right?
Yeah. As far as I think he left as brown
Right.
from Lloyd Irvin. So
Man.
So wait a minute now. So going back full circle,
Uh-oh.
when we were talking about hyping fights. Are we? Is there some Abu Dhabi hype coming in now?
Oh, there will be.
Hinger Cornelius.
that was
See,
that could be
we got
interesting
some
right there.
BJJ hype.
You know what we need for jiu-jitsu? We need a Dana White for jiu-jitsu. We need that promoter that's out there and just fucking pushing.
Just swearing constantly and making
No,
an
I
ass
mean,
of himself.
So
That's what we need.
so on that note, I have a question for you guys.
Here we go.
Okay.
So, do you guys think it would be beneficial for the sport to have one organization overseeing everything internationally?
Internationally.
If you guys
Versus-
had open phone lines, I think this would flood them.
That's a topic.
So
Yeah.
I have very strong opinions on this. But there's a lot of factors that bounce me around.
Do I need a helmet?
This is
No.
This is gonna be, we want the Cliff Notes version of this. 'Cause
Okay,
this could
so-
be long.
So if our end goal is to do something like get jiu-jitsu in the Olympics, which I am kind of opposed to, but whatever.
Opposed to. Interesting.
Should we switch to that topic?
We could. I kind of voiced my opinion on this one before, but if that's the end goal, if we're trying to do something like make jiu-jitsu an Olympic level sport,
Is MMA in the Olympics?
no.
Okay, so I don't care if
I'm just saying.
jiu-jitsu gets
Okay, if we're gonna
I
elevate it to
want
that
jiu-jitsu
level,
become as like the UFC. I would like that.
that's a damn slippery slope you're walking down there, man.
Why not? Why?
You got to be able to market that to the masses, and I think a lot of people see, especially like grappling, and I think that they get bored with it because they don't know what they're
That's
looking
the
at.
problem.
You know what I
That's
mean?
the problem.
So I don't think you'll ever see something like that.
That's the problem with jiu-jitsu and watching jiu-jitsu. Even for me, I have sometimes like, oh god,
Here's the
just
thing.
get to the submission. You know what I mean? It's like just get there.
Get on
I know
with
where
it.
you're going. Let's
Get
just
on with
get
it.
out. Just get there.
Because it's always that easy, right?
It's not, but yeah, that's the hard.
That's what I
thing.
pay these guys for, damn it. So if we're trying to elevate it in some way, bring it to an even higher level than it's at, I think a universal standard is probably going to be required to get over that next hump. Because you're going to have athletes that
Talking about rule set.
yeah,
Universal
in terms
standard
of rule set and
set.
organization. Like when we talk about a single organization, I'm going to kind of default assume that there's going to only be one or two rule sets governed by that organization.
Brian, if we compare jiu-jitsu to UFC, right, or MMA, let's just say that, each organization has their own style of rule sets, right? So you have one FC
yes,
has a rule set.
So in America, and I don't honestly know how far it goes beyond that, there's the unified rules of MMA.
There are.
But not everyone follows,
Not
though.
everyone follows them.
Okay? And then above and beyond that, there's also very different rules for amateur and professional level fighters.
Mm-hmm.
So, like those are different conversations to be had.
But if we were to
then-
go down that road
Right.
and look at jiu-jitsu and say MMA at high level of like UFC organization and say, okay, can we get the rule set where it's only like where people know, oh, if my hands are down, okay, there, or no kicks to the. Can you get jiu-jitsu there? I don't even know if that's possible.
I'm not even sure what you're saying.
And what I'm saying is that this unified rule set,
Yeah.
like everyone has to agree on this. When you introduce points and everyone has their own interpretation of what points are and what's this and that, and can't do heel hooks, no reaping there, that's where it gets kind of like some people allow certain moves, some people don't allow certain moves. That's where it gets kind of weird. It's like we all should agree, submit the guy.
Well, yeah, but you're not going to get everyone to agree.
You're not.
That's the first thing.
That's why we need that higher higher level.
And the only way you're going to get that is if you're trying to elevate it to something greater than what it already is. Because everyone's totally happy with just being like, you know, I'm over here, I'm the IBJJF world champion, okay, and he's over there, he's the Abu Dhabi champion, and like we're fine. You know, like you can have those titles and whatnot. There's going to be a whole bunch of other titles that are considered lower and higher in relative.
I guess you know, looking at it, you know, thinking about it, you know, it's kind of neat that the guys who are making money in jiu-jitsu, the you know, Gordon Ryans and the, you know,
Craig Jones,
those guys who are making money in Kasai and all those other organizations. It's kind of neat that they go to the IBJJF events, and you and I, or everyone in this room, can be essentially rolling next to them. You know, it's kind of a cool thing, as opposed to UFC. I'm never going to do an MMA fight and have, you know,
I think you
on
hit
the same
upon
card. You know
I think
mean?
you hit upon something that I was gonna like to sort of be the base individual and kind of bring things back to, I don't know, reality. Somebody's got to make money off of this, right?
For sure.
So do you think IBJJF is going to walk away? Or, you know, Abu Dhabi is going to walk away from their rule set? They're going to push that so that their rules, and they can take that over, and they can run those tournaments, and they could be that governing body. And I think at that point, now you start that sort of battle where I don't want to say everybody's able to coexist somewhat okay right now, but like, you know, like you said, you got the Abu Dhabi champ there, and you got the IBJJF champ there, and it's kind of like, yeah, all right, cool, whatever. But if you try to unify it under one umbrella, that's when I think it gets really fucked up.
Really messed up.
You know what I mean? Because everybody's vying for their piece of the pie.
Right.
So I'll throw one more thing in there, right? But we got to talk about more than just competition, right? What about ranking? What about
I already don't like the fact that the IBJJF tries to tell me how ranking should work.
No,
so.
and I understand, but if you
can you explain that? Some people may not even know that.
Sure. So I'm probably going to mess up the specifics a little bit, but by IBJJF rules, you have to have your black belt for a certain number of years and have a certain number of stripes. I believe it's 3rd degree, might be 2nd, before you can officially award black belts to your students, and before you can, I believe, be like a recognized black belt to have somebody compete under that flag. I think they're tied together. They also enforce minimum time in requirements. So, like, for example, God forbid anyone interprets it this way, so I'm going to use myself. So if Hickson came down tomorrow and he was like, hey, I'm giving you a black belt. I think you deserve 4 stripes on your black belt from your hard years and dedication. You know, this is the rank you're at. And then the IBJJF looks at that and they go, well, actually, he got his black belt in this year. He should only be this many stripes. And that's what they're going to look at. So you know, I shouldn't even use Hickson, but, you know, any high rank black belt that breaks that rule of how quickly or slowly you should promote could potentially run their students accidentally into trouble because the IBJs are like, actually, no, that guy's only a 2nd degree. He's not a 4th degree because of the way we want the time scale to run.
Well, that also includes blue,
and
purple, brown.
And that also includes other things where it's like, well, I feel like my student is competing at a brown belt level. He had his purple belt for 3 months, but according to the rules, you can't do it.
No.
You know, so he's got to stay purple belt, or at least he has to continue to compete at purple belt per the IBJJF until he meets the minimum time in requirements.
And there should be a maximum time in requirement as well, because if that guy's still competing 8 years as a purple belt, that should be some fucking bullshit called. You know what I mean?
I don't necessarily disagree with you.
Bust a bunch of people out on that.
I mean,
oh my God, he's pulling out a list.
I got a few.
But you guys know what I'm saying, right? I mean, there's some.
So let's throw this in too, because we're talking a lot about competition.
We are.
And I'm on a different level, right? My work prevented me from competing. So what about the guy that just comes and trains 4 or 5 days a week and kind of doesn't compete and just rolls through?
Fantastic.
That we're ignoring that segment, and that segment is probably bigger than
for sure
the competition.
It's way bigger, but like, not that they don't matter. But for the
Because
discussion,
I'm one of those guys, and you're going to hurt my feelings if you say
I don't care about your feelings.
I might run out of here and start crying or some kind of shit like that.
We'll provide you a tissue. But no organization is going to come knocking down your. Well, I don't know. I don't think any organization.
Hold on. So let's pause it for a second, right? So if there is a student who trains only 2-3 times a week and he has a professional career that he has no interest or no ability to compete, and he goes through all the motions to the black belt, and then organization says, well, he can't be because he didn't meet the requirements.
That is 100% happened.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Dude, you're looking at it right here.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For sure.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
How do we fix it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, first of all, that organization needs to stop being a dick. But no, so like that's the thing. Like, so long as you stay in your lane, you know, I don't want to compete. I just want to be in the school. No one's ever going to come knocking on your door going like, listen, man, you're not really a black belt because you didn't meet these minimum requirements, whatever they are. Okay. The only time it really matters is when you're going out on the public stage competing, right?
Well, I don't know.
Well, I don't know.
Like,
Does
so-
it?
I'm a teacher in his school.
Okay.
All right. So what if we get to a point where we want to promote somebody to a certain level, right? Like, hey, we've got guys that are getting
What
ready.
if he wants to open his own academy?
I want to retire from my job and open my own. Hey,
Right.
look at you.
Hey, did you
That
see
will
that?
never
That's-
happen. I guarantee
Subtle
you.
push. You heard it here first.
I've got the perfect spot.
There was
wanna do that.
There was an advertisement about to go in, and you just ruined it.
Oh, did I just fuck it up? Did I just,
We were
did
hyping.
I
How not to hype a school. Yeah.
whatever.
No. So actually,
I think it's an interesting topic, whether right or wrong.
I think it's a huge
It's
part
a-
of the population
right.
that's being ignored.
so okay, but I feel like I'm
Well,
being.
I mean, everyone gets a certificate as they. I mean, I do now. You know,
not everyone.
not everyone.
I assure you.
They should get some type. Like so, Mineko. You know, you get your blue belt, you get your certificate, you get your purple your certificate, stated, stamped, his signatures on there. That should be good enough to present to the IBJJF based on that. Based on that guy, Andre, you know, Mineko, this should be. Hey, he's one of our black belts. We know Andre. We know his credentials. We know his lineage. He signed off on these certificates. You presented them. You are a black belt. Even though you never competed from white to fucking brown, now you're black. You want to compete. This should be enough for you to get in.
So
Should be.
we
Is
were
that the word you
we
use?
Should be,
we
right?
were getting ready to head out to what, the Pan Ams last summer?
okay.
Was it the Pan Ams or the Worlds? I don't know. Beats the fuck out of me. We were heading.
Where are you going with this?
You had
Hold
no
on.
major competition.
Hold on. All right, so we're heading to a major competition, okay? And I was trying to get a black belt card.
Oh, the black belt ID. IBJJF,
so that I could coach, right? Because one of our
Yeah,
students that I was working with was
And you
gonna
had
be
to
out
fill
there.
out the paperwork.
And right, so the person through which I had received my last promotion hadn't updated his
IBJJF credentials. I'm with you on this story so far.
And the response was like,
Sorry.
"Too bad."
So
You don't get your black belt card. We don't recognize you as a
Didn't it
black
happen
belt.
to you, Javi?
Because that
no,
guy
I'm not a
didn't-
black belt, thank God. But similar sort of a situation.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's but you're not competing, but it still ultimately comes back to it only mattered once competition was a factor, right? Once you had to deal with it.
But then I use the example like, hey, so we have like two guys that are brown belts that are kind of close, right? What if
you wanted to give them the bump?
Yeah.
The IBJJF would be like, listen, man.
And they wanted to go IB, and then one of them is a big competition guy.
Right.
So like,
No, the
Then
IBJJF would be like, listen, you're screwing your guys.
That's what they would say.
Yeah, like that would be their attitude. Whether that's correct or not is totally a different subject. But yeah, like
they're gonna make me cry then. Fucking shed some
That's a
tears.
first.
Hurt my
Well,
feelings.
what does it
I'm
cost for a
sensitive.
black belt to get his IBJJF card? It's
That's
not cheap.
$40.
I know. Is it
Well, just
Card-
the
card
But
is
you're
for
talking
the
about
initial.
like
their
registration for
diploma. Yeah, it's like $400.
Yeah,
You got to go
exactly.
through a referee's course.
Right,
You got to
right,
referee
right.
one of
Yeah.
their events
There's a
for
whole
free.
thing.
You
Right,
get
no, no,
CPR
I'm-
certified.
Yeah,
like-
trust me, I know all about this secondhand through the rigmarole that's had to happen.
Yeah.
So I don't remember if I've talked about this publicly. I think I have, but if not, here's the story. So I train with, I train all over the place, obviously. We've discussed that plenty. But when I compete IBJJF, my main objective was to compete for Luis and Tiago under LCCT. Those are the guys that pushed me to give the IBJJF rule set a try, and that's whose banner I wanted to compete under, and that's where I got my brown belt from. So absolutely, especially the gi, especially the gi, I always wanted to do that. IBJJF has, over the last couple of years, since I started competing, increased the requirements of membership and whatnot in terms of you have to be a registered member under a registered black belt. Due to some unfortunate circumstances that was really just like timing and paperwork issues, Luis and Tiago let their IBJJF membership lapse. Now, these are guys that are world champions in the IBJJF. It's a matter of public record that they are Hickson's black belts, that they've competed in the IBJJF for years and won titles, Masters world champion at various belt levels. Okay. So like, it's not like there's any doubt from anyone at the IBJJF that these guys are who they say they are.
Of course.
These aren't just like random black belt appeared in the middle of a cornfield in Iowa or anything. Okay. These are known people.
Why Iowa?
Because cornfield.
A lot of cornfields?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not a lot going
Sorry,
on
I wasn't
in
beating
Iowa.
up on our listeners in Iowa. I just picked a state with corn.
Okay.
And since that paperwork wasn't turned in time, their membership expired. They were not allowed to just re-up. They had to get Hickson to sign off on paperwork. Hickson wasn't good enough because I don't believe Hickson had a current one. This is Hickson Gracie we're talking about here. So I believe Crone actually signed for it. I'd have to confirm that. I'd have to 100% confirm that, but I believe that's what it actually took because Crone has an active, he has his own school. Hickson has no current school that's his. Right. Okay. But above and beyond all of that, so they had to do all that paperwork, and that allows them to register, had to redo the referees course. Okay.
It's crazy.
And first aid and
and
probably all the other
because,
things, yeah.
And so this is the part that I'm not sure I've talked about very much. And I'm very grateful. And this is the great thing about having friends all over the city that help you out. I wanted to do my first no-gi worlds as a brown belt. And I could, because the paperwork wasn't sorted out yet, I could not compete under the LCCT flag. And I talked to Professor Barry and I talked to Adam, and I'm like, mind you, I talked to my coaches first. And
can you give them their last names?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So Barry Phillips and Adam Redzovic.
So we're plugging here.
Yeah, we're plugging our friends in the Redzovics.
Adam, I love you.
So I talked to Luis and Tiago, and I'm like, listen, man, I really want to compete in this Worlds. The paperwork isn't sorted out. What can I do here? And I wasn't too comfortable with like maybe them being like, oh, you got to get Crone to sign off on it or something because I don't know him. Right. And they're just like, if you have somebody that you want to compete under, sign up under them.
Right.
So I reached out to the Redzovics right away. I talked to Barry first. And Adam was like 100% we'll get it taken care of for you. Eddie signed off on it.
Beautiful.
So I was able to compete and eventually win a world championship flying the Redzovic flag. Here's the downside. My renewal is not exactly easy right now, which is why I'm not signed up for the IBJJF Chicago Open yet.
Oh, because you appear as Redzovic.
Yeah.
Now it's switching to.
Now it's all
that's
complicated.
another headache.
Yeah. And none of this is necessary, might I add. Like this is kind of actually really silly if you ask me. Yeah. And I'm, to be fair, I don't have all the details of everything. Okay.
Right.
Like I know the parts that I know and what my own personal struggles dealing with it have been.
I mean, I know the IBJJF is giant, and the amount of events they put on is unbelievable, and how they go off without it.
They're top level events. I mean, they're seriously.
It is truly incredible. And when you go to other tournaments,
they got it down.
You see what
not all other tournaments. I mean, there's some other tournaments that I've been at that have run very, very smoothly. Okay. And there's definitely been some that I've been at that have been the opposite end of the spectrum.
But when we talk about all around, the IBJJF
overall
is the gold
one of the
standard.
best run. Yeah,
for sure, definitely, for sure. I mean, Paul would disagree because he's had some unfortunate incidents happen for him, but I've always had great.
Are you saying Paul, Mr. I want to walk in like 2 minutes after they started calling my
Yes,
name,
that's the one.
step on the scale and get in the...
Exactly.
That guy might have problems?
Yeah, he's got
No.
problems. Yeah. He never gets a shirt his size. Never.
So do you guys think that IBJJF is becoming that standard all across?
I think people want it to be.
Yeah.
Because
People or the organization?
both. See, that's the thing. Because if you compete for the organization, if you follow their rule set, if you believe that I don't be like that's the one true way, but if you believe that that's like the best, most prestigious organization, as our friend to my left here is currently saying.
I think so.
Yeah. So you know, like that's a push from both directions. You know, they want to be the biggest, the best, the most famous. But the athletes that compete for them also want that world championship, that Pan Am championship, that IBJJF Pro. They want that to mean the most that it can.
Right.
And that kind of comes with it, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, definitely the athletes push the organization, and the gym owners and professors push the IBJ. I mean, it's all the way around. I mean, everyone. I mean, I hear it at my school. You know, IBJJF is, you know, Maneko it's what he does. You know.
But yeah, but
I don't know, how is that at your school? Are you guys?
I mean, same thing. I mean,
mix of competitors and non-competitors,
right? I mean,
But do you push more than the other? Like, do you look at the?
Of course not. They got Mitch. Mitch heel hook and white belts.
Do you follow my Facebook? It just happened.
I know. We've trained together.
Why is he heel hooking white belts in the gi?
It's an inside joke. You got to come in and take a look.
Okay. That's some crazy shit. Some crazy shit.
I mean, I think there is no doubt that IBJJF has it down.
Yeah.
They have a process down. They have everything down. And maybe they're not doing everything that everybody likes.
For sure not.
Okay.
A lot of
it's absolutely. Not everybody is agreeing. But I think we can't ignore the fact that they are the only ones right now that they are driving towards that standard. Yeah. Whatever that standard is, whether you agree with it or not, they are driving towards it. They're trying to bring stability and publicity to what jiu-jitsu means on a competition level, you know? So
yeah,
I coming from a predominantly wrestling background, don't really think belts should matter for competition. And there's certain organizations that are apparently trying that out, like Spider, I think, like they do, like where purple belts and black belts compete in the same stage against each other. And that's one of the things that I think.
Can you imagine those divisions at Pan Am's?
That'd be crazy, right?
Those like 600 people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Spider's an invitational, I believe. So
no, I get that, but I'm just saying. It just hit my mind. If you combine,
there's some AOJs that purple belts beat blacks. So.
Oh, yeah.
But that's just it. Like
that's some crazy shit there.
Think about that. Think about that for a second, though. Okay, we got Nicky Ryan is a kid murdering adult black belts.
Yeah.
Okay. We got a ton of kids at AOJ, Atos, Marcelo's, Henzo's, bunch of the top schools. Okay, they can absolutely hold their own because they've been doing jiu-jitsu since they were like 6. So when they get their purple belt at 16 or whatever, they've got 10 years of experience.
Right.
And then they go against some guy who's like, yeah, no, I'm a black belt. I started at 42. I'm 50 now. Maybe I exaggerate, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Like that's a different animal.
Yeah.
But above and beyond that, like that's one of the things that definitely complicates it is the fact that like we're not matching guys up based on their competitive success or record. We're trying to assign it based on weight, age, and belt. Mm-hmm. We can very easily control age. We can just check what the birth certificate says. We can very easily control for weight. We're going to check the scale. Belt level is kind of arbitrary. Like, what does that mean? We have an idea of what it should mean. Like, we look at a guy and go, that guy's a black belt. I rolled with him. He smashed the shit out of me. He's definitely a black belt. Mm-hmm. What if he slips on a purple belt afterwards? And you're like, oh, shit. He's not a black belt. Right. In Nogi, we don't know. Mm-hmm. Unless you're wearing ranked rash guards all the time, nobody knows. Everyone's just treated, oh, that guy's good. He's good. Doesn't matter what his rank is. Did he tap you? Yeah, he did. Right. So, yeah, that's one of those things. That, like, because we've assigned a rank to it, like there's all that prestige of the rank, and we've put so much weight into it, there's countless people that have won world championships. What do we really care about? We care about the black belt ones. You know, nobody cares about a white belt world champion.
Is there?
That's a thing in some organizations.
Okay.
But there's definitely blue belt world champions, right?
There are, yes.
Right? And other than the ones I know personally, I can't name a single one.
Right. Yeah.
Because nobody's going to remember your name.
Right.
You know, but, you know, if somebody could compete as a purple belt, as a brown belt, at that black belt level, and the only thing holding them back is, you haven't been a brown belt long enough. That's not kind of silly.
Well, the IBJJF 1 year as a brown belt, then you get your
minimum
black.
1 year.
Minimum.
Yeah, it's a shorter one. Yeah,
That's a crazy one. Huh?
Yeah, that
I always figured
transition
brown,
isn't actually that long.
I thought brown was. Maybe it's just because
the blue is, I think, the longest, right? From their standards.
I think so.
Is it blue or purple? Man, I'd have to look at that.
I don't remember exactly, but I think it's.
But brown's a quick one. It's 1 year.
Right. But again,
I just figured brown belt, like my own person, like just people I know some people were brown belts for like 5, 6, 7 years even, you know?
Right.
I mean,
But think about it, though. Like, if... I mean, you just keep saying purple because your damn belt's staring at me. If you're a purple belt world champion, let's say, you're not a normal purple belt.
Right.
You know, like, you're probably better than some Joe average brown belt.
Right.
You might be better than a lot of black belts because you're a purple belt world champion. You're pushing the envelope there. Okay? Like, that's where it gets screwy, right?
I think this is where we're getting in this very gray area of competition, even professional competition group versus, blue collar guys who just want a common role and, a guy who, again, trains twice a week for the last 10 years. He achieved a certain level of technique and a style and his own flavor and all this, and maybe he has a black belt. Is he a world champion? No, and he has no desire to be one.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, right? But I think these are two different groups.
Well, I see you want to chime in.
I'm waiting. I don't want to be rude.
Yeah, go ahead, John.
I just want to thank you. I'm going to stop crying now.
Do you need a hug?
That's it, bro. No, man.
Group hug.
Maybe later. Maybe later.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think what's being ignored often is that non-competition group of people globally. It's larger, significantly,
yes,
than
the competition group.
Out of 100 students, you might have 2-3 guys at an average academy. Maybe not Atos or something like that, but at an average academy, you get 2-3 guys that are really, really serious about competition.
Right.
That are flying places to compete and doing stuff like that. And then you'll have a larger body that competes occasionally. I don't know what that average number figures out to be, but it's probably, I don't know, a dozen guys at a reasonably large school. And then you've got everyone else.
Yeah.
And they're there to stay in shape, to learn some self-defense, to have fun, whatever it may be.
Yeah. Yeah, be part of community, meet friends, and whatever the case is. Yeah, absolutely. And even if you look at the competition schools, which are 100% designated, or not 100%, but they're focused.
That's the primary focus.
There's the primary focus. Even there, you're going to find a large group of people, male and female, who have no desire competing.
Right. And to be frank, if we had a competition-focused school and we only had competitors paying, we would not have a competition-focused school.
Absolutely. Well, that's a big part of the business, right?
Yeah, that's a surefire way to go out of business, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know that anyone has that as a sustainable business model.
Atos.
Even them, they got to have some. I mean, I can ask some people I know, but they got to have some people that are pretty casual. They're probably really good casual.
I would assume so.
Look at
Henzo's has 3,000. They're not all competition.
Yeah, but okay. So
honestly, I think
I
their
can speak on
breakdown is-
Henzo's a little bit because I've actually trained there. I can't speak on Atos from personal experience. I mean, you have a ton of guys that are really, really good. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to bash on them at all. But you absolutely have guys that are just normal guys.
Yeah. And I think the majority is just normal guys.
For sure. I mean, with the volume that large.
Yeah. Even Marcelo's is a similar case.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I hung out with a dude who was a pretty casual jiu-jitsu practitioner when we were at Marcelo's, and like he was great. He gave great advice. He knew all the local schools because he'd been around in the business for a while, and he was an awesome dude. But he wasn't like a top flight competitor or anything. And then there's Bernardo and Gianni and Marcelo all sitting on the other side of the mat. Not like to say that there was any actual separation there. I'm just saying that.
Sounded like it. Huh?
Yeah, no. Yeah, like, you dirty casual,
The
get over
other
there.
side
in
of the mat.
Other side.
in
Yeah.
the B room. Yeah.
There's a line. There's certainly a line there.
I mean, to be fair, there was a Marcelo does partition off things where he'll teach a class over here, which anyone that's there can do. But then Gianni had a special, which was, I think, primarily for competitors, but not required. He had like a drilling section going on over on the other side of the mats, running simultaneous with a regular class. So, yeah, I actually really like that business model.
Okay. Fantastic.
It was.
So I've got a perfect location for a school.
You've been wanting to talk about this a while now. You're going to shout this out on air, and it's just going to be a feeding frenzy,
I'm
right?
not, but I just want you to.
You have found it, and you want to make me aware of it.
Yes.
How close is it to your house?
It's very close.
How convenient.
Very, very close.
Zeno's like, listen, I want you to open up a school near me so that you have an inconvenient drive, but I don't.
Yes. Yes. It's very close, but man, I drive by this thing. I'm like, man, that's so.
It'd make a great school.
You're a gym owner, obviously, and do you like just when you're just driving around, you're just like, wow, that'd be a pretty cool spot for a right. It happens all the time, right?
Location,
Just
location.
Right.
I mean, I'm not even a gym owner, and I do that all the time.
Yeah, I'm
where
just like, man, that'd be
a great spot for a school.
dynamite spot.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to be the dissenter, the lone dissenting voice, because I'm driving around, spacing out.
He looks he's looking for coffee.
Starbucks.
He's checking Googling.
As a designated Google guy now, I feel like I need to do that
Get
while
you
I'm
a sticker
driving.
that says designated Googler.
Yeah, but yeah, this place I'll show it to you on a map, and then you can check it out.
No pressure, Javi.
No pressure at all.
But it's pretty freaking slick.
Hold on, are you trying to tell us something? Are you opening up your own academy?
No, I'm
He
not.
should.
But Javi,
That would make life easier on everyone.
Javi has always talked to me about it. so-
Always dreamed of having a school. Yes.
So what's stopping you?
Fear of failure.
Fear of what?
No. To be fair,
He'll have to stop training everywhere else and have to train in his own
that's not
academy.
true. I will find a way. I will, no, well, okay. Let's be very honest here. I will absolutely continue training with other people.
Right.
I mean, like, it's not like I'm gonna be at my school 24/7. No, I will.
Do you have classes,
Does
4
Mineko
days.
teach every single class? No, he has you and other guys helping out,
He
right?
does have other guys, but he's there every day.
Well, yeah, he's there every day. But I'm just saying, like, he's not teaching every single class. If he wanted to, I mean, if he wanted to go train with somebody else for, to get some work in or, whatever, he's able to do that. That's the goal, to get it to that point, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyhow,
Oh, you might have to go upstairs. That might be locked. So if it's locked, just when you come out the door here, head up the stairs. And It's on the second floor.
Oh, I'll figure it out.
He was trying to do
You might want to take,
Yeah.
your phone because you might need a little bit of a light.
Dude,
That hallway's a little dark out there.
and I might have to Google.
Yeah, you might have to Google.
I might have to Google before I pee.
or during. Man, that's always the best time to Google, right?
multi-talented.
Things just got awkward.
Just now? No.
All right, so going back, so what's stopping you? Why? I'm fascinated about this because I've gone through the process, right? So I've been in that position, and I always have,
It's a
interesting
couple of
conversation
things.
for me.
I've been teaching for a fairly long time now, so it's not that I don't feel comfortable teaching. I have not been a business owner at any point in my life, so that is admittedly a little intimidating, getting into owning your own business and knowing how to run things and things like that. I've read about it. I have no practical experience with it. I do, like, he was joking around a little bit, but he hit the nail on the head as well. I train all over the place. I enjoy my current training regimen. I feel like I still have so much to learn that I still want to learn from my coaches and friends and instructors. And it's easy to be like, oh, well, I can teach a class here, but it's a lot harder to be like, well, I'm going to teach 30 classes here and then still find the time to train with everyone else.
It's tough.
Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I think about it. I mean, I think about, like, as I get older, retirement, what does it look like? Could I open my own gym up? I mean, obviously, I have my own business now. I've been successful, I feel, somewhat. I mean, I've been open 17 years.
I'd say you're successful.
I'm doing something, right?
Right.
So when I look at other businesses, I only think about jiu-jitsu. And maybe that looks like, open up a gym here or somewhere else.
Someplace with snowboarding?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I think, I really think about this, and I'm like, what does a gym look like? And this is something that you can maybe talk to us about and enlighten us about. When you open those doors and you have 15, 20 white belts, and you're just like...
I dream of having 15, 20 white belts the day I open the doors. That'd be awesome.
What I'm saying is that...
What about 2?
Yeah. But what I'm getting at, the amount doesn't matter. What I'm getting at is like, I love training jiu-jitsu, right? And I'm not, I can't say when I walk into my school that I go to, I have like brown, blue, I have all these guys that I train with, all these guys. I have all different looks and this and that. And the training's so fun. And I look at that, I'm like, this is awesome. Opening my own gym would be great. But then I think, wait a minute. I'm not going to have these training partners. I'm going to have these white belts, these brand new, and they're not going to be anywhere near. I'm not going to get that same training.
I've already been through that experience for the record.
So that's what I think. I'm like, that's different. That's going to be a different experience that I'm going to have. And would I enjoy that? I don't even know if I would enjoy that right now. I think maybe that wouldn't be a good thing. I don't know, Thomas.
You're 100% right.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just going to leave it at that. Yeah. No, listen, absolutely. No, not even a piece of doubt here. Yeah. Everything changes. Mm-hmm. Everything changes. You no longer have, if you're lucky, you might have somebody who's partnering with you or maybe helping you out. Yeah. But that, 10, 15, 20 higher belts, it goes away in a snap. And that's something that we've gone through. And I think, but what is beautiful about that transition is that you have an opportunity, and that's all it is an opportunity for you to build new guys. Mm-hmm. Right. And in 4, 5, 10 years, that place that you just opened is going to be full of those brown belts, purple belts, possibly black belts. And then you can start enjoying the other side of it, not even teaching, because hopefully by then you won't be teaching, 130 classes a month. Right. You'll teach 2 a week, and you'll have other people around you who can, be involved in that business, will be involved in the teaching aspect, and you really kind of changing, your function. So I think you're going from that student, and we talk about this so often. All the time. It is like, the moment you become an instructor, and you forget about owning a gym or business in general, because yourself, execution in a business part is one side, but running the business behind the scenes operationally, that's a separate part. Yeah. So like if you ask me, the part of what I'm teaching is only a small part of what we do as a business. Right. It's just, it is what it is, But once you become an instructor, I think your focus changes on, first of all, you have to continue educating yourself, but your tools changed. Now you no longer have, black belts or brown belts accessible to as you used to. Right. Now you have to find other resources, but now your job is to really build the other guys. Your focus really shifts towards getting better, them growing, and hopefully your vision is where, at some point they will contribute in some shape or form. And contribution is a very vague word here, whether teaching a class or being a leader in a class or assisting, a student or welcoming a student, or maybe they're involved in the business, whatever the case is, you building that team. Right. It's just, the trick is that takes time. That takes time. And the question is, are you willing to put the sacrifice? Yeah. So that's the difficult part.
And I'm kind of fortunate because I've actually kind of already gone through that once, because when we opened up LCCT Barrington, I started teaching class there on Friday nights, and my first Friday night class was like a bunch of white belts. Mm-hmm. And it's grown over time, and I've got other guys that have come in and joined me and whatnot that are higher belts. Nobody that I've promoted, obviously. But so like it's grown into something, but it did not start off strong. It was, yeah. Mm-hmm. So that process probably takes a lot longer when you actually own your own school. Mm-hmm. I have friends all over the city. I'm sure some people are going to visit, but it's not like I'm looking to poach guys or anything like that. When the day when I start my own school, I'm expecting I'll probably be starting at ground zero.
Right.
And I mean, And I do really look forward to it, and I do absolutely want to do it, and I've got a plan that gets closer and closer to fruition every year. It's not going to be put off forever, I promise you. But yeah, when I was a little bit younger, the fear of failure was a big factor because I had personally been around enough schools that had crashed and burned. I had seen people get badly burned and being on the wrong end of certain business transactions. I got to learn some business practices to avoid. There's the plus side of that. But I had a wife and a mortgage and 3 kids, and that was my primary goal in life. And as serious as I am about grappling, there was no way at the time that I could see myself owning and operating a school and giving it the love and attention that I felt it needed, while also doing my at that point day job, but now night job. So,
and I think that's the scary part for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like I know from my experience, I worked full time for 3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And then run the academy.
Right.
Aside from that,
right.
You know, those are long days, long days.
How's your academy doing? I mean, I know we've been there before, but I mean, since you've been on the podcast,
Yeah, it's been a while.
What, episode 19? Is that what we?
Right.
Yeah, that's what we
it was a
looked
couple
at.
of years back. Yeah.
Yeah. How you guys doing?
Well, we're doing great. I mean,
Yeah. I always see your posts and everything like that. You guys go on retreats. It's nice. I like when you guys do
we
it. It's so cool. Retreats. It's always like, hey, we're all going to whatever. Like, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking
We got a good
it's
community.
It's I think big part of it is really building that community, really the feeling of being something larger than just the mat.
Yeah.
But I think more than anything, I've been fortunate enough to have guys like this. JT, Mitch, and a handful of others who, contribute in enormous way, providing the support network and really, allowing us to do what we can do, for the students. So, we continue growing. I love what I do. I was fortunate enough to follow my dream and this is it.
Yeah.
So
it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you go next door? Were you go?
No, I went upstairs.
You did go. Was it closed? Did you try the door?
I didn't even. I just saw the stairs and boogied up the stairs.
Okay. I just wanted. Did you guys bring a gi to show technique?
No, he will show a technique. He has a jacket.
He's got a bum leg. How's he going to show technique?
I like this, man. I had knee surgery fucking 4 weeks ago, bro.
I have rule number 1: always have extra gi in the trunk.
It's a cold gi.
It's a cold. It will be. It's definitely going to be a cold gi. Well, I mean, that is, of course, if next door is open, because
We'll check it. It is.
Fuck, man. It's almost shit. It's this late.
Man, we've been talking for 2 hours.
Yeah, more than
A little over.
Wow. We talked for a quiet time before the podcast started.
I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface of subjects here, too.
Oh, really?
No, actually, we're done.
He's done. Let's go there. All right. So, Thomas, where can people? Let's. We didn't even introduce.
We're terrible
Thomas.
people.
Yes. Can you please introduce?
No, I'm not. Introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, I'll introduce myself.
Please do.
We'll do that uncomfortable, like, hey, you.
I mean,
because we don't even know anything about him at all. We know that he's a black belt.
I'll tell you.
Black belt. He's got a bum knee. He's an excellent at Googler.
Right. Excellent.
He
what else
claims
do
to
you
be
need
the
to
least
know?
technologically advanced of us all, but is clearly the most
No, I'm not.
at his Googleizing.
Go ahead, man. Do whatever you
Go ahead, man. Talk about me.
Yeah, it's weird, dude, right? I don't want to
about me
talk
so I
about
don't have to talk
myself.
about
Wants
myself.
me to give him a compliment.
No, I don't.
You know
it's
what's
real
funny?
weird.
We're not going to get into this because we would be here for the next 2 hours. But JT obviously is a black belt at ROL Academy, but we started jiu-jitsu. What about a month apart? I think.
It's longer than that.
Maybe 6 months. Maybe.
Who started first?
I did.
Okay, just
I
make
did.
sure.
Yeah. But we both started thanks to Eric Butler. He started us on jiu-jitsu, and to this day, unfortunately, I still know him. I can't get rid of him, no matter what I do.
Who, me or Butler?
Yeah, no, you.
I was going to try and lump Butler in with me.
It's been wonderful. Nearly 20 years now. So it's. Awesome. We've gone through a lot of up and downs, more ups than downs, but it's been good on the mat and off the mat. So,
when did you receive your black belt?
2014.
Nice, excellent.
Am I allowed to say where? Yeah. I got
Part of your journey.
Yeah.
Christian Uflacher in 2014.
Nice. Yeah. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What else you want to know? You want to know my
What's your
sign?
favorite? What's your favorite move? I don't know.
I like long walks.
We know you like deep half.
Hand holding.
Long walks and deep halves. A terrible set of things to put together.
And half naked pictures of George St. Pierre on there. Let's just go that route too.
That's just what here's up right now.
Okay, why not? We're gonna go down that road.
When things couldn't get any weirder.
Let's end this thing. It's
Before it gets weirder.
Yeah, it's going to go down really quick. Thomas, tell us about your academy. Where can people find you?
We are present on all social media. So ROL Academy, just find us Instagram, Facebook.
And that's spelled
ROL is a single L. Obviously our website, rolacademy.com. That's pretty much it. We everywhere.
Sweet. JT? Are you on any social media?
I am.
You're just on Google?
Yeah, I'm on Google.
Find him on Google.
I'll give you my Facebook name. It's Ray Whipple.
It truly is. It's a long story.
Yeah, what's really funny is like I'll meet people from other schools and they'll forget my name, but we'll be like, Facebook friends, and they'll be calling me Ray. It's like
you are that dude. There's absolutely guys that I don't actually know their real names because I only remember them by their Facebook names.
Yeah, and that's my and bogus tribes.
I don't remember who it was, but we had somebody for a seminar, and they were talking. JT and that instructor were talking social media, and then we're at the academy, and the instructor keeps talking, hey Ray, and I was like, what is wrong? What are you talking about? Who are you talking to? And then I was like, oh yeah, never mind.
The damn Facebook.
Yeah,
this is a real name. It's yeah.
I don't even want. Do you want to know what it is?
What is it?
I don't even.
Is there a story here?
No, it's your porn name, dude.
That's what you.
My middle name and the street I grew up on.
Is that right? Yeah. Is that how you figure it out?
Yeah.
You never heard that before?
I have, but I don't remember.
Legit. I ain't never telling
it's
you
your
mine.
middle. Wait, what is it?
It's the middle name, your middle name,
name,
and the street you grew up on.
Oh, so
he's trying to figure out if his is cool.
So you're
out loud.
You're a wholesome family podcast. I just totally fucked
mine's
up.
I grew up on 49th Street.
Well, what's your middle name?
Joseph.
Well,
so
Joseph 49.
Joseph 49.
That is kind of cool, man.
That's not bad.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right.
You just got famous.
There you go. Joseph 49. Signing out. All right. We'll see you guys later. Check them out, ROL Academy. All right. Bye.
This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Very Hard to Submit. Go to vhtsny.com and check out their kimonos, compression gear, and apparel. This is a brand we are excited to be supported by. Their gear is high quality with a clean design. Go to vhtsny.com and see for yourself. Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. For more information about Grappler Union Podcast, you could visit us at our website at grapplerunion.com. You can follow us on Instagram at Grappler Union. Please like us on Facebook. Be sure to subscribe on iTunes. And all of our episodes are available on our YouTube channel. Say what?
Be sure to subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe to all that shit. You got to do another take, right?
Oh.